Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Signed the Traitors. We are brought to you by Silent Podcasts, and we are a Traitors recap podcast talking all things Traitors US, which dropped on Peacock today. We are recording on the 12th, Thursday the 12th at 9 p.m., just to give you an idea of like where we are in this world and what's going on. And today we'll be covering episodes 1 and 2. We will not be talking about anything else that happens in this season outside of episodes 1 and 2. We are going in sight unseen after that. So I am your host, Katie, and I'm here with my wonderful co-hosts, Kari and Javier. Kari, how are you?
I am good. I am faithful, and I am ready for to banish some traitors this evening.
Amazing. Javier, how about you? How are you feeling? How's your day been? How's this viewing experience been for you?
I'm doing great. I'm very excited to talk. Kari's a faithful. I am a traitor. Sorry, Kari. But yeah, I'm very excited to talk. Lots of thoughts.
Amazing. Well, I'm really excited to be here. I was really excited, obviously, as you know, we had the draft podcast on Tuesday. We went through the cast. We were here with Josh and Isaiah, but now we finally have some real meat to talk about. So first, I want to ask Kari. I know you watched the UK. We talked about that, and Australia. I've watched the UK. Javier, you're coming in sight unseen. What is your thought so far on this game of the Traitors? How are you feeling? And then we'll go into kind of the specifics of the episode, and we'll explain to everybody listening or viewing kind of the point and the goal of this game.
So for me, at least the first episode, I thought it was a little slow for me. I feel like it did not come out the gate swinging the TV show in terms of like by the end of episode 1, I was like intrigued, but I wasn't like hooked on like the social aspect of it yet. But then when episode 2 started, when the first person was murdered, then the game really began for me. So like I went from like, okay, I'm enjoying the show to like, okay, I'm really excited to see what happens next. I need to see what the strategy is. So yeah, like I already started strategizing in my head, like if I were a traitor, what would I do? But would this be thinking too much? So once we get to that, I'll share my thought process, and I would love to hear your guys' thought process on like, how you would approach it as a traitor, because I feel like that's like the interesting part since we know who the traitors are. So it's very interesting to think if I were a traitor, how would I put myself in those shoes? So, but I'm really enjoying it so far.
Awesome. Kari, obviously you're coming at it from a different perspective. How do you feel so far about the first 2 episodes that you've watched compared to both the UK and Australia?
So when you compare the first episode of the US to the UK, which I think that comparison is going to happen a lot. It happened in the same castle. We're using the same challenges, despite they are in a different order. Somewhat so far, at least, that no, I'm trying not to spoiler it, but I already like kind of ruined who won anyway if you listen to our draft podcast. So anyway, in the first episode of the UK, they came out with a hard-hitting surprise, like in the first 10 to 15 minutes. That what you're mentioning, Javier, I agree. I think if I was watching this show for the first time, I might be like, this is like, let's get to the point here. But knowing like all the good stuff that's going to come, I mean, obviously I don't know, but knowing how this game very quickly picks up, having watched a couple other seasons, I let it happen in like, all right, that's fine. I was kind of shocked at the shorter length of these episodes in comparison to both Australia and UK. Like Australia, you'd get like hour and 20-minute episodes.
Oh, wow.
No joke.
Yeah.
UK was about an hour for each one. And so when I saw like 43 minutes and we know that like a third of it is going to be the challenge, I was a little like, I'm hesitant right now, but we're seeing it pick up. Australia is like a different beast because first of all, they have these sick matching Adidas red jumpsuits that like, with their names on the back. It's like
cool.
Missy Elliott in 2022. It wasn't 2023 then. Type of vibe. And their like approach to editing the game was a bit different in terms of like, there's people you barely even met. There's people who were very influential in like the second half, where I felt like the US did a really good job of kind of introducing us to everybody and giving us a little bit of insight on the majority of the people that like, at least we could see their personality and how they might integrate themselves amongst the rest of the castle dwellers.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with both of you. I think to start in this episode, I was a little taken aback because even though it felt like maybe it was a little slow to start, it also felt a little rushed to me. And I think, I'll talk a little bit about at least the beginning of the UK, because that's, and I won't spoil necessarily what happens or anything like that. But in the beginning of the UK, what I really liked is I feel like we got almost an extended introduction of each player on the show. Like we saw them coming in on a steam train. We saw them all going to, like the train dropping them off at the train station and all meeting each other for the first time and just being like, what are we getting ourselves into? And while that's like not super compelling TV, I feel like it gave us a real sense of personalities and how these people are kind of like reading each other. And then, once they got to the castle, Kari, I think the surprise you're alluding to is that, Claudia, who's the host of the UK version, had them all line up in order of who they thought was most likely to win the Traitors and who was most likely to lose. So they were able to make that decision amongst themselves, and they all lined up in a straight line. And then something happens from there based on the lineup. That part I won't spoil. But that to me was a huge surprise. It was a very big shock in the UK episode, and they completely cut that out of this. And I was very surprised by that, because that was almost immediately what grabbed me for the UK version. And then I think, something else that was a little different for anyone who hasn't watched the UK is that prior to assigning the Traitors, Claudia, the host, did interviews with them to see would they rather be a traitor or a faithful. And that didn't happen in this episode either. It's almost like we just jumped right in without really a primer. So it felt like it was a little slow to start because not really much was happening, but it also felt really rushed through some of these like kind of really important, in my opinion, components that made the UK season feel like, oh, we're really like ramping up to something exciting here. Like it was building anticipation, and I didn't feel like we really had that in episode 1.
I think you bring up a good point that I think it was something that I brought up in the draft where like, well, I do feel that they showcased at least one like diary room session of like everyone. I do feel like I still have like half the cast no idea who they are.
Yep.
So yeah, I think at least for the first episode, they should have done like an extended episode. Maybe it's too expensive to pay the reality TV stars or something for like an hour 20. But yeah, I do wish we got a bigger introduction for more of the characters. Instead, there's like 4 or 5 who I feel are really stealing the spotlight, which is, given who they are once we get to it, it's not surprising who the people who are in the spotlight are the people that are in it. But yeah, I wish everyone would have had a bit more showcasing of all the different personalities on the show.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. Before we get too deep into the episodes themselves, for anyone who either didn't watch the draft where we kind of explained the goal of the game and how to win, or anyone who didn't watch the episode, maybe you just like to hang out with us, which we really greatly appreciate. The Traitors is a game where there's a cast of 20. 3 out of those 20, who we're going to call faithfuls for now, are assigned the role of traitor. So every night the traitors meet in secret and they murder one of the faithfuls. And then the next day, there's a round table where the faithfuls come together and they vote out who they think the traitors are. So the goal is to get all the traitors out before the end of the game. And as long as there are no traitors left in the end game, which we won't talk about that yet because they haven't revealed how to win yet in the US version, then the faithfuls win the prize pot. If there's one traitor, at least one traitor left, then the faithfuls don't win and the traitor takes it all. If there's only one traitor, if there's multiple, then the traitors would split the money. The prize is $250 million, up to $250 million, and $250,000. Did I say 250 million?
Yeah, that's like that.
Imagine that would be wild.
Wasn't Survivor like Winners at War 2 million?
2 million.
Like,
2 million.
And Katie's out here offering 250 million to the winner.
Inflation is high.
A show on
economic
Peacock,
turmoil.
not even on NBC proper, on Peacock.
NBC can afford it. Come on, they can afford it. Sorry about that. $250,000, $250,000, and all of the players, both the faithfuls and the traitors, compete together in missions to build up that prize pot. So kind of similar to the mole, except no one is trying to sabotage these missions. There's no benefit for the traitors to sabotage these missions because they're all competing for the same prize.
Great explanation.
So, thank you. I tried. I mean, Kari knows very well. Javier, we talked about this a little bit, but I'm like challenge blind. I can't explain rules or digest rules. So I'm actually very proud that I was able to just articulate that in a somewhat understandable way.
I think everyone now knows. Even you
Great.
even shared some for me because sometimes in my first time watching, I'm like, what are the point of these challenges if there's no sabotage?
Yes. So, well, okay. So that's interesting because we spoke a little bit on Tuesday when we were doing the draft, and Kari and I were very staunch on like the challenges don't really matter. And I know, Kari, you said you were going to fast forward, and we were texting a little bit today, and I had asked you if you did end up fast forwarding through the challenges. This US cast is taking these challenges much more seriously, and there's a lot of like drama and strategizing that's going on during the challenges, which I was not expecting.
Yeah.
I want seriously to have an asterisk next to it because none of them are dressed appropriately to do challenges.
None of them.
Like Kate is out in fucking leather pants running around the grounds of a castle. So seriously with an asterisk because we just need to like get some sneakers for this crew.
Yeah, when she was running around in that like little plaid jacket and leather pants, and I was like, what's happening here? Or did we not like give them a heads up that there's going to be some kind of physical activity? Yeah, it's kind of wild. I don't know.
Or like Quentin, I feel like he was basically in a suit, like the first challenge with the very tight pants. I was like, running in those must be the most uncomfortable thing ever,
Oh my God, yeah. Yeah, and then like people had to get in a boat. Oh my God. But yeah, they need to do a better job of explaining what they're going to be doing to them. All right, so let's jump into the first episode. I mean, like we said, not a ton happened in the first episode. I think it was a lot of setup. How did you guys feel about the pacing of the first episode? I know we kind of talked about how we feel like it was slow, but do you feel like, what was your overall sense? What was your vibe?
I don't know if I can properly answer this question because if you are my employer, this is fiction. But otherwise, I was like pausing to, I like this email came in that I had to read. And then I was trying to, I wouldn't say multitask, but I was definitely starting and stopping for a variety of reasons. So I did like a remix. So my pacing is off. So Javier, if you have an opinion, please take it away because mine is skewed.
So I'm glad you mentioned the pacing because nowadays you can like fast forward through a lot of TV shows and basically through any TV show. I'm usually against that. Like I normally don't fast forward movies. I don't fast forward TV shows. But unfortunately, in the first episode, I was putting it at like 1.5 sometimes, especially during the challenge. Because I was like, come on, like this boat, drive the boat already, set on the fire. Come on, guys. So definitely the pacing could have been better because this is like one of the few times I've ever like sped up a TV show. Like I almost never do that,
Yeah.
So that tells you a little bit about how I felt about the pacing.
Yeah, I did that a little bit. I would do like, I didn't put it on 1.5, but I was definitely like, okay, skip 15 seconds. Okay, like I think we're good. I can like skip another 15 seconds where it didn't feel like there was a lot happening. Definitely during the challenges specifically, especially for Kari and I, because this first challenge is exactly the same challenge that took place in the UK Traitors for the first challenge. So yes, I totally agree with you. Do you feel like you got a good sense of who... I mean, we know the celebrities, but how about the civilians, as they're calling them? Do you feel like you got a good sense of who they were? I think we opened the episode with Michael. I will give my thoughts on Michael in a second, but did you feel like you got a good idea of like who some of these civilians were? And was anything in kind of like the intro to the cast a surprise to you?
I mean, dare I say the celebrities like stole the spotlight.
Yes.
In terms of the like civilians, I feel like none of them, except for Christian for like not good reasons, Christian stood out.
Yes.
And he's on my draft, which makes me very sad. But by episode 2, like I'm over Christian personally, but we can get
I
into
was
that later.
so happy because in my list, I actually had him ranked 9th and Geraldine 10th. And we can talk about Geraldine later, obviously.
Yeah.
And I went with my gut to like, I'm going to go with Geraldine for the fact that I don't think she'll be here for a while, but I think I'll be able to like root for her more genuinely than I would be Christian. And I'm so glad that I went with that gut instinct because
good thought. It's a good thought.
Sorry.
I think Kari and I, like I said, we're texting, and I said to her, like, my draft team is in shambles, just because I feel like every single person on my draft was like a mess at some point in one of these 2 episodes. I was like, oh God, I did a terrible job at that. But Michael opened the episode and he was like, I first of all, were you surprised by his accent?
Oh, he country.
No,
that is
actually.
so country.
Oh, I was shocked.
You
I was
said
shocked.
his chat GPT bio said Kentucky at least twice. So I was ready for that. Like, what was that guy's name on Survivor? Like Donovan? Was that him? Am I making him up? You know, like the Sia gave him some money, skinny dude. Anyway, okay. As soon as I remember you reading in his bio that he was from Kentucky, that when he spoke, I was just like, first of all, we're gonna need some subtitles, but two, I'm not surprised by this draw.
I work with a couple of people from Kentucky, and I have a few friends that like live near or around Kentucky, and none of them sound like that at all. So I was surprised. Like, Kentucky's not that far south.
No, but it's Kentucky.
I guess it depends where in Kentucky.
For me, like, I wasn't shocked either because reality TV likes to cast, you know, like the Frenchies from BB23. The like,
Yes.
when they cast these people, they do unfortunately do cast like that role of like they always have that one person who's like super Southern, like good just they say one word and you're like, oh, this person's from the South. So once I saw he was from Kentucky, similarly, I was like, he's probably going to be the super Southern accent person, you know?
You know, I'm so happy, Javier, that you brought up Frenchie because I think that's the perfect comparison for Michael. But we'll talk more about Michael in a little bit. I thought that Rachel specifically was a lot to start with. She kind of was like looking for clues immediately.
Yes,
and she was
I
just
wrote
talking
that
about how
too.
she's going to manipulate all these random people. She also said that they've never played reality TV before. And I thought that was a very interesting way to state what she meant because like they've never played reality TV. It's just a funny thing to say. But did anything else stand out for you guys with the cast in general when we first met them?
Something that made me laugh, and I don't know if this is too soon, but Ryan Lochte walking around
The
trying
dodo
to
music.
find a hidden room, which is
What was that about?
hilarious. Well, there is a hidden room.
What?
Oh, I don't remember a hidden room.
You definitely do, because in UK, when you could get the shield, they went
Oh,
into
right.
the
Yes.
little-
Okay. Yes.
And it was
yes.
behind a bookshelf. So the
Yes.
fact that he's walking around looking for a hidden room, I'm like, y'all are saying this guy's dumb, but there's actually a hidden room. However, when Reza was like, when he walks around, I hear the Pink Panther song playing in my head.
Yep.
That was such a fire line. I was laughing
So
out loud
funny.
at that. But yeah, the one thing I wanted to say was Ryan Lochte looking like a doofus, looking for a hidden room. But actually, there's a hidden room.
A broken clock is right twice a day.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Good for you, Ryan.
I mean, yeah, it's funny because we said that's like the edit he's gonna get because that's like how he played Big Brother.
Yep.
That's just unfortunate. Ryan, like, he didn't even say a word, and Reza was already like, "Oh, he's just gonna be like, you know, the not the smartest tool in the toolbox." And they even gave him the music. Like, even the show's in on the
Yep.
joke.
He got dodo
Ryan
music.
must be in on the joke too. He must be in on the joke. You know.
You think? Do you think he is? I don't know. He might be. He might be. I'm just looking through my notes to see if I wrote it. I think I was most impressed by I think Kyle so far. When we talked on Tuesday to talk about, the cast and go through the draft, I had said I was kind of interested in Kyle, and Kyle is the one as a Bravo fan that I was the most interested out of these 4 Bravo celebrities to see, because the rest of them, I mean, Kate is very much herself. We know Kate, when we talked on Tuesday, we said that she's very dry and blunt and just has no filter. And Reza is just messy, and I think Reza delivered mess this episode, which we'll talk about. And Brandy has done every reality TV show under the sun, so we know what to expect from Brandy. But Kyle has only ever been on Summer House and Winter House with friends that he's been friends with for quite a while. So I was really interested to see how he would interact with other people and how he would do in the game. And I'm actually pleasantly surprised by Kyle.
No, me too. He was my number 1 draft pick.
It was I think Kyle's a great pick.
So I'm very happy I picked Kyle, and yeah, he definitely surprised me. He's being very low key. It seems like he's thinking about the game too. So I'm very I feel like Kyle's gonna get deep into the game, and I'm very excited for that. So we'll see.
Yeah, it seems like he's making a lot of really good relationships with the guys in the house, which I think we kind of said, right? Like he could probably get along with all the bros, and we see him like playing pool with Ari, and I think I don't know, remember if it was Cody or Ryan Lochte, but I'm excited to see what Kyle can do in this game. I think he might be a little bit of a dark horse.
Yeah, if there's anything that I wish we got a little bit more about the beginning, I feel like we really didn't see Angelica much. I felt like we got her as the episodes went or like as we got into, maybe it was even episode 2.
I
I don't
think
even know if we
yeah,
saw
I don't
her
think we saw
episode
her at
1.
all in episode 1. And Bam, I don't think we saw in
That was
Robert
my
Bam.
next person. Was Bam was pretty quiet. Otherwise, we really didn't hear much from Shelby in episode 1. She was kind of like in on a couple of conversations, but it wasn't much of like a focal point. And here's the thing, I kind of expected Azra to be quiet, and we got a little bit more from her than I anticipated, but she still didn't get a lot, and that's why she was my number 1 civilian draft pick, because I feel like someone like her can fly under the radar for a long time. And I was expecting a little bit more from Amanda as well. I know that we got some of her in the second episode as allegations of who's a traitor and who isn't are flying around, but those, I felt like we got a good amount of focus on some of the civilians, and other ones just are very much flying not only under the radar of the players, but also the editing cast or editing and producers as well.
Yeah, the storytelling of this episode with some of the civilians was a little strange. Like you're saying, Kari, I feel like the only people that I feel like we even maybe got a confessional of were Michael, Andy, and Christian. I mean, maybe some of the others popped in here and there, but I feel like their personalities were the ones that were the most standout from the civilian side.
Yeah, no, that's definitely something I noticed too. And it's funny you mentioned Angelica, because on episode 2, like when I was taking notes, that's the first like diary room session we got from her. Which to me, if the first time I see you in episode 2, I feel like you're probably not winning the game. That was my first thought. Like if I didn't see you at all in episode 1, I think if the first time I see you episode 2, like in my mind, I'm writing you off as a winner, unfortunately. So we'll see. Maybe Angelica will surprise me, because sometimes they do these like sneaky edits, like the first half of the game they don't really show the player, and then the second half if they come out swinging. So we'll see. Yeah, the people who like the 5 people like you mentioned, who like really like half the civilians didn't really show up in the first episode, makes me weary of they're gonna make it deep or even win the game.
Totally, I totally agree.
I will say that if there is a show where you can get away with not having much of a storyline at one point and then it picking up, it's probably this show, because as people start falling off, and because of the recruiting process. So I think we mentioned it to you, Javier, on Tuesday, that whatever one you want to use, but it's more likely when a traitor gets voted out, they are likely to offer the other traitors the opportunity to recruit another traitor from the faithful. And so we saw that happen with someone who basically had no storyline in Australia and ended up becoming like a very prominent player, because they went from silent, saying nothing, to becoming one of the traitors. So if there is a place, or if there is a show where it's not the worst thing to lay low for a while, this is the one. Like there is a chance that it picks up steam. Not necessarily. There's also someone on the Australian one, his name was Paul, that it was like literally episode 9. It was the first time his name got used. I was watching with my friend, and both of us turned to each other like, who the fuck's Paul? So I'm not saying that always happens, but it can go either way. So it's not the worst thing to be quiet in the first episode or 2, but I would say if it's like 3, 4, maybe even 5, where I don't think you're having much impact on this show.
Yeah, totally. I want to share some breaking news, at least for me, that DM Rocks just put in the chat, that Angelica is Tommy from Big Brother 21's aunt, who's also Tommy from the challenge this season, Kari, because I know you didn't watch Big Brother 21. So Tommy Bracco's aunt, which I think we talked about Tommy and Christy, because we didn't remember which one was from Staten Island. So that's wild to me. That's some wild news.
Is that real?
I assume. Wait, is this the aunt that dated Christy? So Tommy knows Christy because Christy dated Tommy's aunt. That's how they're connected. They were connected when they went to the Big Brother house. If this is the aunt that dated Christy, this is wild.
Wow.
Who's Christy?
She was on Big Brother 21.
She was on Big Brother 21. Oh, they came in, and they realized that they knew each other when they had entered the house.
Was Christy the name of like the bald woman who got
yes, that's a different Christy. Yeah, that's Big Brother 23. Yeah.
Okay.
Listen,
the bald woman.
The bald woman. Yes.
I don't. That wasn't like a
no. It's fair.
No, I know.
It's totally fair.
if I didn't have a weird shaped head, I also would be bald. So, but I have.
Well, she's not bald by choice.
Okay, I would be. I have a very flat head, and there's like a very sharp point at the back. So I can't be, but
okay.
Well, I could be. It just would not be good for my self-esteem.
Yeah,
and
no, I understand.
Honestly, I would probably be a jerk to everybody. So I again say it not in a negative way because otherwise I would choose to be bald.
No, totally.
Hair is
I think
too
if we
much work.
say her name 3 times in a row, she like comes out from under whatever rock she's hiding under.
She has
and it's,
that
like, gonna pop up. So I'm nervous. I'm nervous she's gonna know we're talking. Print. Yes.
Okay.
Wow, interesting. Okay, cool. So we get an interesting confessional from Suri saying that she desperately wants to be a traitor. And I was a little bit surprised to hear that from her, because if I'm Suri, and I know we kind of talked about this during the draft, I would be like, shit, I'm Suri, I'm a legend. And they're going to automatically assume I'm a traitor. Out of anybody in this room, they would think like, oh, they're going to pick me as a traitor. So I completely agree with wanting to play as a traitor. I think if I had the opportunity to go in the house, I would want to be a traitor, or in the game, I would want to probably play as a traitor. But I was surprised to hear this from her. But I guess also not, because Suri is a legend and a badass. What did you guys think about that? Were you surprised?
No, not at all. I mean, given there isn't really any precedence in this game to show that you are more likely to survive if you are a traitor than a faithful. But I mean, faithfuls get murdered every night and traitors don't. So that, decreases it in half. But it doesn't surprise me that Suri, who is one of the best to ever play Survivor and has such great influence, and is so powerful socially, strategically, for her to take on this challenge. Because what if she gets caught as a traitor? She's still fucking Suri from Survivor,
True.
Cool. Why don't I have let me, if I'm gonna play this, let me play. So it doesn't really surprise me that Suri is give me that hood, give me the lantern, I'm going to the tower.
I mean, as y'all know, I don't know Suri from Survivor. I just know that everyone loves her. So my only opinion is I'm starting to see why people like Suri. I'm really liking her confessionals. I'm liking, from the 3 traitors, I think, well, as we get to that, she is playing the best game from those 3, in my opinion. So I'm really liking Suri. I'm hoping she makes it deep into the game, because I feel like she's going to be someone to really watch, and her gameplay is going to be very, she's very strategic, it seems. So I'm excited to see more of Suri.
Yeah, Suri is incredible at strategy. She's a legend for a reason, I think, obviously. And I think you're right. She's one of the best, probably top 3 or 4 Survivor players in terms of just legend status and how she plays the game. So let's get into it. We know who our traitors are. Alan Cumming walks around a circle in the room where they have the round table, around a very large round table, where the cast is sitting blindfolded, and he does a few circles around the table and taps the 3 traitors on the shoulder to let them know that they have been selected as traitor. This is pretty much exactly how it went down in the UK, except there were interviews with the cast, like we talked about a little bit earlier, and we got to see them. Maybe that happened off screen and they just decided not to show us, but we did see it happen in the UK. And the traitors that were chosen were Suri, Christian, Van Life Christian, and Cody Calafiore. What's everyone's thought? When I saw Cody specifically, I was like, Isaiah's right. Cody's going to win this game. That's just immediately what I thought. Isaiah called it, and he's going to win this game.
Yeah, I was disappointed because I just had that gut feeling about Christian that I wasn't going to enjoy him. And women's intuition, it's more often right than wrong.
Seems like you're not the only one.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, does Cody have women's intuition? Anyway.
Perhaps.
And then, like I've told you guys, I don't know Cody from his brother Paulie, except that Paulie has sex with Cara Maria, right? So that's... So I've heard things. I know that people aren't the biggest fans of him. So I was kind of disappointed when I saw that being the choice. I do actually wish it was 2 civilians and 1
Yeah.
reality person, as opposed to the opposite way. And again, I think it just comes from watching the 2 other seasons and not needing these names to drive the show, because like Javier said, it felt very reality TV star heavy. So I was hoping like they would trust the people that they cast to be able to contribute as much as the Ceries and the Codys and whoever. So I was excited for Cerie, and then I was not excited about the other 2.
Yeah.
Before I even talk about the 3 traitors, I don't know. I want to talk about how they're chosen. Like, because this is literally how people like in Mafia, you like walk around in a circle and you kill the person in Mafia. But I feel like when I used to play Mafia, you can hear footsteps, you can see where people are walking, you can see under. I just was shocked that this is how they pick these people, because like I don't know, am I crazy to think that you can like get some hints about who the traitor is because you can hear where Alan's going? You know what I'm saying? I don't know. I felt like that was a very weird way to pick it. I wish they would have done it like, you know, like in the diary room type of thing, or, you know, I don't know. I thought they shouldn't have picked it in like broad daylight like that. I feel like that can like give away some hints. But if it didn't affect the UK or the Australian version, I guess maybe it doesn't matter. But I just find that very weird about how they chose the traitors.
I had that same thought when I was watching the UK, that I was like, there's got to be like, they're going to hear where Claudia, the UK host, is stopping or spending an extra second or pausing. Like, I thought the same thing, especially with Alan Cummings' shoes were so loud. I don't remember if Claudia's were so loud, but I was like, his footsteps are so loud that it felt like they would have had to have like some kind of like, at least getting a tip off of, oh, he's spending like 1 extra second or 2 in this general area. It didn't seem like in either the UK or the US that it contributed to anyone having any suspicions, but I'm a little bit surprised by that myself. So I kind of agree with you, Javier.
I have a feeling that dude did laps. You know what I mean? Like, I think we
there's
saw a chance that if he did 3 on the show, he probably did 10 or 12 in like real life. And I think in the Australian one, or was it Claudia in the UK one? I can't remember. I know it was one of the 2, but one of the hosts was like faking out and like making like the whoosh noise with their arm in different places. So you might think it was.
Oh, that's
like,
funny.
Yeah. So I can't remember. I think it was the Australian one.
Yeah,
the
I don't
Australian
think they did that
host
in UK.
was this funny dude that he did a good job as well. He wasn't Claudia, but I thought that like he was a good host. So I know that happened in one of them, but my guess is that they did laps, and because we didn't hear any conversation, and there hasn't been any conversation in the other 2 series as well of like, oh, I heard the host, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So there
That's
must
true.
have been
We probably
enough.
would have eventually heard about it.
Right.
True. But I guess quickly in terms of the actual traitors, I was not happy that Cauliflower was chosen, but I'm glad that he was chosen because he's dropping the ball already by episode 2, and I don't see him winning personally because of the way he's playing. But we're on episode 1. But yeah, I'm glad that he was chosen. So because I don't think Cody knows, you know, because in BB16 he came in and Derek ran his game, and then in BB22 there was pre-gaming. So I don't think he really knows how to play this like strategic, in my opinion, the super strategic game. I think the cards fell in the right hands for him on BB20, on All Stars 2, but we'll see. In terms of Christian, I was actually kind of shocked. I didn't expect Christian to have this personality based on his bio. His bio seemed like he would be just like a chill, bro-y dude who went to the military. But to him, like he really came out swinging, super high energy. I was like shocked that this is the person that he was, and I'm disappointed because he's in my draft. But yeah,
Javier.
Yeah.
Clearly, you don't have to match with men on dating apps, because if you did, you would know that we avoid, sorry, men from the military, but men in uniform nearly at all costs, because they all have tendencies like Christian.
Oh, interesting. I did not know that.
I didn't know that either.
Oh my gosh.
But I've been in a relationship for a long time. I've never really dated.
I mean, I'm not on them anymore, but it was a swipe left. As soon as like, sorry, bro, I cannot handle the trauma that the U.S. military has enlisted in your name. So it does not surprise me in like a high intensity environment, like any reality TV show, but especially this one, because I think we've seen a bit of it already with, I know like Andy broke down in tears with their first vote.
Yep.
The UK was just like a cry fest. Australia was not. Australia was like, we're just here to fuck shit up, which was nice. But it gets intense in there. So like the fact that like mission 1, we've got Sergeant Christian like out on the ropes and stuff was the least surprising component of Christian to me.
Okay, good to know about military men, actually.
Yeah, sorry if you're in the military or like married or dating one or whatever. It's not you, it's them.
Well, I wasn't surprised because I think when we spoke on Tuesday, I think maybe I had said something along the lines of like, he seems like the type of like weirdo dude that if you're camping would be in the campsite next to you and just like approach you and start talking about his like van life. And like, he just seemed annoying to me from his body. Like, no shade to anyone who lives in a van. Like, I get that's like a cool thing right now, but like, we don't need it to be your whole personality. And even though Christian hasn't talked about it on the show, you could tell he's the type of guy that's like, oh, my van life, my YouTube videos about my van. Like, no one cares.
Katie, can we do a whole one-off podcast on people who make like one aspect of their life, their whole personality? Because I could easily rattle off 10 different types of people like that. Like right now, I won't. Because there needs to be a disclaimer on the bitchiness that'll come through on that podcast. No, I'm in. But I could do that in a heartbeat. I've been having a lot of those thoughts lately, and just like social media, especially. Like, post about one different thing, just one, one. Surprise me. Anyway, sorry. Derailed,
no,
but
I'm with you. I get it. I totally get it. I'm in for that podcast. It can be an offshoot. So we find out from Alan that there's going to be a murder on night 1. Stephanie kind of comes in hot, immediately suspecting Geraldine. And then like everybody starts going off and sharing their theories based on almost nothing other than like the way someone reacts at the table. Did you have any thoughts about anything that anyone shared? Where I wrote a note here specifically is that I said Kyle is good at this so far. So I guess this is probably the point where I was like, oh, Kyle's like making good inroads with people and no one's really suspecting him, even though he's not a traitor. Doesn't really matter. People could suspect you whether you're a traitor or not. So I was kind of impressed at the game he was playing. And then the only other note I had is that Rachel was immediately clocking Cody. And she's like, I can tell right away. I know him. He's a traitor.
Yeah.
So Javier, to go back to your point about like, why do they do this in front of everybody? This might be a reason why, because if everyone's finding out behind closed doors in their rooms if they're a traitor or not, then you like they have time to mentally prepare and all that versus like I think of Australia, one of the traitors, a lot of people had this person picked out relatively quickly because of their reaction of like when they took their blindfold off. And if you like pay attention for that aspect of it in this certain situation, I don't think people were wrong in reading this person's body language that way. But it also is kind of like frustrating on the opposite side of that, where more often than not, everybody's reading the body language wrong. So, and I would definitely be frustrated if I was one of the people who take off my blindfold. Like, okay, I got to put my glasses back on. I've been blindfolded. Like, I got a concussion brain. Do I look like I'm an idiot right now? Do I look like I'm suspicious right now? I could understand being like, you're calling me out because of how I took my blindfold off and like what I did after, or because I'm like bopping my knee up and down. Like, fuck off. I would be. So I get why. I think that's another reason why they do it out in front of everyone, to have that initial read, because it does really motivate the first couple of votes, honestly.
I mean, I think since you mentioned it, I think, for example, on my notes, I wrote, don't be too happy, Christian. Like, literally, Christian got so eager that he was chosen as a traitor, and right away you could tell, like, if I were in that room, I'd be like, bro, why are you so happy? Like, relax. Yep. Like, Christian, from the moment, I was like, dumb. Like, I'm sorry this man's in my draft, so I hope he does well, but God, this guy's not playing this game well at all. Like, why is he so excited to be the traitor? Like, relax, dude. So yeah, I do agree. It makes sense why they reveal it there, because if he would have had time, knowing Christian, he probably wouldn't have relaxed, but maybe he would have reacted differently had he had the chance to like settle down and think, how should I act as a traitor?
Yeah. Sorry.
I usually root for traitors, and it's just going to be really difficult. Like, I don't want Christian to win. I want him voted out. I was rooting for him to be voted out immediately, I was rooting for Suri and Cody to vote for him, just because I think it would really like help their game if night one they were trying like get that motherfucker out. He's gonna be your demise.
Yeah. So, okay. So here's the thing about the Traitors. Like, they don't have to work together. They can turn on each other and vote each other out. Like, they can put suspicions on each other at the round table. Like, they aren't bound together. Like, I think from the Traitors' perspective, at a certain point, you want to be the only traitor left so you can take all the money at the end of the game. Like, you don't want all three of them to survive and be preserved in the game. So, what I'm hoping, and it seems like maybe this could potentially happen at some point, is that Cody or Suri gets so irritated with Christian, because they're already irritated with Christian before they even know he's a traitor. Like, in the mission, Cody is just done with Christian, which I just found hilarious because obviously we knew that, you know, they were both traitors, but they didn't know that yet. And he's just like, oh, I can't stand this guy, like, whatever. And I'm hoping that he just gets up to his wit's end with Christian and ends up voting him out. But I agree with Kari. Like, I was rooting for the Traitors in the UK for sure, and I'm rooting for Suri for sure. Cody and Christian, I don't know so much. But I'm hoping that they turn on him and we get to see that play out.
Christian's causing me to root for Cody.
Yes, no, me too. If I had to choose, I'm rooting for Cody.
You know what I mean? It's kind of like Katie and I are fans of rival teams, but when either of our teams are playing the Eagles, we're both like rooting, we're like supporting each other, you know? It's the same thing right now where it's like, I have to like the enemy for the short term because we have a greater enemy at hand. And it is getting Christian off this TV show.
Yep. Enemy of the enemy is my friend. And right now, Christian is the enemy, so Cody is my friend. I thought, going back to Rachel clocking Cody, we didn't hear anything else about this from her in the next 2 episodes, which I thought was very strange because it was like, I don't know if this was a soundbite that was taken from a later time or when she really, because this was in a confessional. So like, I don't know when this took place, if it was later or when she realized it, but I thought that was interesting that they put that in the first episode and then she wasn't telling anybody like, oh, I know Cody personally. And his whole demeanor changed after this. Because the goal is to get them out, right? So, like, it doesn't make any sense to keep him here if he's a traitor. So I thought that was an interesting editing choice that they put that soundbite there, and then we didn't hear anything about it in episodes 1 and 2 from there.
So it's funny you bring this up because I wrote a note. So, I'm like, when Cody first was like announced on like in the beginning of the episode, he was talking in the like diary room, and he was talking about how like he wants to downplay that he won Big Brother by luck. But as we know, he won with pre-gaming. Do you guys think there was pre-gaming in this show? Like, do you think like these celebrities, the civilians obviously not, but the celebrities might have, you know, Rachel could have contacted Cody if they're as close friends as like she basically said they know each other's family, blah, blah, blah. Like, I do fear that there might be some pre-gaming in regards again. Maybe this is my like Cody radar. Like, if Cody's doing well, I think he's pre-gaming. But like, do you think that it is a possibility that could have happened in this show?
I think it definitely happened in this show. And that's what I was mostly worried about coming in with a celebrity cast, and then especially like a partial celebrity cast and a partial non-celebrity cast, because some of the magic in the Traitors, the other versions, well, I don't know about the UK, Australia, but I know the UK, it's like you're seeing these people build bonds and get to know each other while being in this castle. I don't think in the UK they stayed in the castle. It seems like they might be staying in the castle in this one.
Yeah.
Which I thought was weird.
By that, but...
Me too. But we got a chance to see them build these relationships. And then from there, some loyalties got built and alliances got built. But like Cody and Rachel probably called each other up and was like, did you get called for the show? I got called for the show. Same with Brandy and Kate and Reza.
Oh, besties
because
right away.
They didn't include Kyle in the Bravo crew. But the three of them were, granted, well, no, Kyle is around the same age. I mean, Kyle's in his 40s, I think, or is 40. So, like, I was going to say they're maybe a little older, so that's why. But I think Kyle and Kate are around the same age. So, yeah, I think definitely there were conversations that happened. Same with Suri and Stephanie. They both did Snake on the Grass together. They've played Survivor together. They were speaking most likely before coming on this show.
I don't think it matters though, because you don't know who is a traitor. So if you've come in with this like pre-game alliance and one of your alliance members gets picked as a traitor, the end of the day, like, your alliance only has so much validity at that point because you guys have two different agendas. And so, like, cool, especially like if you look at Rachel and Cody and knowing each other, and she right away is saying, well, I know he's a traitor. I think that it was smart for Rachel to not say anything because if she doesn't get the numbers on her side, she's dead.
Yeah.
Or, you know what I mean? Like, she has to maneuver this well. And so even if they know each other, like right now, their initiatives are entirely different. Despite the fact that like they might supposedly be looking out for each other, you know, that I don't know if the pre-gaming has that big of an impact. And I mean, we see what happens when you have your little trio, which we had brought up on the draft. Like, alliances are not the smartest thing to have in this game, because when you appear as a group, we want to weaken the group. If you appear as a pair and you are a strong pair, we want to weaken the pair. And so, I mean, cool if you pre-gamed. There's a chance that doesn't matter, or like because of your pre-gaming, you're going to be one of the first out.
Yeah, I totally agree with you, and I get you. I think what I am frustrated more by the potential of the pre-gaming is just the fact that Rachel can look at Cody and be like, oh, I know this man personally. I've met his family, so I know his demeanor is different. Like, I don't want that. I don't want you to be like, well, I know this guy, so I know he's acting different. Like, I want you to meet him for the first time and be like, oh, this is weird, and just observe them. And I think that just like, I don't think that means they're going to be tethered to each other or work together or anything like that necessarily, because you're right, it doesn't really benefit them. But just the relationship building and like seeing the instincts of people, it changes things a little bit if you already know a person.
No, I 100% agree with that.
Yeah. So let's talk about the mission a little bit. So this is, like we said a little bit earlier, this is the same mission as the first episode of the UK. So the cast breaks up into two teams. I'm going to try this, Kari. We'll see how we go. We explained one group of rules.
I'm putting this on 1.5x. I'm Javiering it. And
You can. We won't talk too much about it, but the team breaks up into two groups, into two teams, a blue team and a green team. Part of the green team and the blue team have to get in a rowboat and row out and get this torch from a guy that's just like sitting in a boat in the middle of the lake. And then the other part of the team, the other half of the teams, are searching around for little ropes that they have to tie together and then put in some flammable liquid and then put it in this track to build a big fuse that links to this big bunny thing. It looks like, if you've seen Donnie Darko, it looks like the bunny from Donnie Darko, but like a straw version of it. And then they have to race to do that first and then light it on fire. And if both teams, the first team, I think I don't remember. The first team, yes, to set fire earns 20K for the pot, and the second group adds an additional 10K for the pot. So it's not even like when they're doing these missions, the goal is to beat the other team. Like, you want everybody to win. That's why these missions are boring, because there's no like, yay, we won. It's just like, no, you want everybody to win because it builds the pot.
It's very millennial of us. Like, everybody's getting a trophy here.
Yes, yeah, everybody gets a trophy.
Yeah, I wish there was like, for like immunity, like if the green team won first, then no one on the green team could either be murdered or voted out. Like, maybe that adds, I don't know, maybe that makes it too similar to like a show like The Challenge, or like a Survivor type thing. So maybe that's why they didn't do it this way, to like be more unique or whatever. But yeah, you need to add some weight besides winning money that you can't even sabotage, like in the mole, you know? So something
will be coming later.
Okay.
Along
Remember
those
that
lines.
hidden room we talked about?
Yeah, there will be some kind of aspect like that. Maybe not that exactly, but like that. A lot of personalities came out in this challenge, specifically Reza's.
Yes.
Reza was really pushing everyone to hurry up and get it done, and seemed to rub a lot of people the wrong way. What did you guys think about how Reza was handling the challenge?
So first I wrote, oh my God, like I said, I don't know Reza like from Shaws of Sunset. I was like, wait, I'm living Reza's energy, because it seems like he's here to play. Like, he's not just here for drama. He's here to play the game. He's here to play hard. He wants to win. But then I was like, JK, he's doing too much. Like, at the same time, relax, sir. Like, you're putting a target on your back. You're being the most vocal. Take a breather. Like, you know, so I was like, I can see why, because if I were in the same boat, I would probably be annoyed by Reza too. Like, stop yelling at me, like just do your part and we'll do our part. But I thought it made for good TV, like Reza being so annoying because it really pissed everyone else off. So
What did you think about Reza Kari as someone who doesn't watch Shahs of Sunset?
I don't remember anything in this challenge besides Kate sitting in the boat and her being like, this is a lot smaller than the boat that I'm used to. But and like her just kind of directing, like she was chief stewing a canoe essentially,
Yes.
and was not doing anything else. I genuinely remember nothing else from it. I was probably working at the same time. So
Probably.
sorry for that lack of insight.
That's okay.
But I think also part of it was because I'd seen this challenge in the UK one, and it's like, okay, whatever.
How many times am I going to watch the same thing? Yeah.
Yeah. And anything that I needed to know in terms of fallout from the challenge, they discussed later on anyway. So yeah, really the only thing I remember is Kate sitting in the canoe.
Yeah. Well, Reza, I mean, exactly what Javier said. Reza was doing a lot. He also called himself Hawkeye's McCoy because he found the key. And I was like, is that a thing? Like, I don't know what Hawkeye's McCoy. I like specifically wrote that down with a question mark because I was like, what is that? But he did find the key to unlock the kerosene barrel or whatever it is. I don't know, flammable liquid barrel. I am I don't want to say I'm a Reza fan because he's not, I don't want to say he's problematic, but he said a lot of things that are, he's just messy. I mean, he's very messy, and sometimes messy people say things that you can't always stand by, but he makes great TV. And I was excited that he was bringing this energy to the channel. I was like, oh, Reza is being totally Reza right now, and I'm loving it. And I was impressed by him getting so into the show. I was like, oh, he's like in the game. Like he really wants to play. He wants to win. I really liked that. I was also really impressed by Brandy. I thought Brandy did a really good job in the challenge, even though she was like, you know, only on the boat. I felt like Kate was also only on the boat, but Kate was just like not doing anything. And Brandy was at least like holding the thing and was like, yeah, I'm here, whatever. And overall, just generally, I've been impressed by Brandy so far. Like, I think she's taking this pretty seriously. And then the only other thing I took away from this was that Cody just absolutely hates Christian. And he was also just being very shady toward Kate, saying that she was not contributing and doing nothing on the boat.
I mean, but was it shady? Like, listen, I'm really liking Kate, but Kate was complaining about other people not doing anything, and Miss Thing was just sitting there minding her business. Like, she got off the boat. She's like, guys, hurry up. Like, what are you're not doing anything.
I know, you're literally doing nothing.
But don't get me wrong, I'm very much loving Kate, so I hope she stays for a long time. She's everything that Kari was like basically saying. I'm very much liking her, so.
Yeah.
Just watch seasons 2 through 7 of Below Deck. I literally sit on my couch and just root her on when she's like tearing people apart.
Yeah, she's great.
Oh,
yeah, she is great.
That. I'm gonna watch like a highlights clip because I don't know if I have time to watch 2 through 7, but
yeah.
I mean, you don't really need to because Kate and you know what? I will send you the episode that I specifically tweeted out when I saw this episode, and I can even quote it for you. So essentially, she had one of her stews, which is like, so they're like.
Short
the
for
servers / housekeepers of this luxury yacht, right? So Kate is in charge. There's 2 women below her. And these 2 have like this weird banter where like some days they hate each other and other times they were like cracking each other up. But the other one goes to Kate. I haven't been whoring around as long as you have. And Kate, without missing a beat, without smiling, nothing, goes, how old is your daughter again? Murdered her right on that boat. Just destroyed her whole fucking life right there. And when I saw that, I was like, if she's not a traitor, Peacock is fucked up royally because she has no shame, no regard for anybody else's emotions, whatever. She's ruthless. She's absolutely ruthless. And it is hilarious to me because in my ideal situation, I'm Kate. However, I'm not on TV and I need to be nice to people.
Yeah, you can't really be doing all that at work, unfortunately, in real life. Yeah.
No.
Unless you work on a boat. A lot of things fly on a boat that don't fly in real world where there's HR departments, which is what I've learned.
Like Kate and Captain Lee are like the HR departments on that show. So.
Yeah. Yeah. The other thing I wrote about the challenge is that, Javier, I don't know if you noticed this, but towards the end, they were like really rushing Brandy to light the torch on fire. And they made it look like she was just standing there holding the torch for like 30 seconds. Yes. And they're, or like more than 30, like 4 minutes long. And they were like, Brandy, rush. And she was just like, and I'm like, there's no way that she was actually doing, like standing there for that long. That was just such a weird like sequence to me.
Yeah, I agree. I did notice that, and I was dying because, as I said in the draft, like I really like Brandy, but yeah, they made it seem like Brandy was moving at slow motion. Like,
Yeah, like
there's
she was
no
just
way.
standing there
Yeah,
ignoring them. And I was like, there's just no way that that's what she's
yeah,
actually doing.
that was good.
Yeah. Other than that, there's not a ton to talk about with the challenge other than Reza really just getting on everybody's nerves, specifically Michael. Michael was over it. Michael is a fan of reality TV, but clearly not a fan of reality TV personalities in real life because he was just not having it with Reza. They ended up banking 30K. They all finished it. The blue team finished it with 2 seconds left. And they, on the car rides on the way back, they just talked a lot about like, oh, I didn't do that great in the challenge, so I hope I don't get voted out. And this is where I realized like, oh, we're going to be talking a lot about these missions. Like in the UK, I don't feel like it was like that as much. Maybe earlier on because there wasn't that much to go on. And I remember a little earlier, they were like, oh, this older person didn't perform that well in the mission because we had, a different group of ages. But I'm just surprised to hear how much we're talking about challenge performance so far in the show because it wasn't like that in the UK.
No, and it had like a little bit of effect in Australia, but I think it's just one of these things that right now they're grasping at straws for reasons to keep someone or banish someone. And besides your reaction when you took off your blindfold, like there's really not much else. So I understand it, but I think as we get a few more episodes in, it's less likely that decisions will be made based on that. And
I hope so.
More so, especially like, I don't know if you remember, I think we might have talked about it. Claudia, the host of the UK version, she said like, yes, we understand that the challenges don't have a ton of impact, but in all actuality, they are great for the contestants because like they're all on the same team at this point. And it's like a bit of a relief, especially for the traitors, because they're on the same side as the faithful and they just like get to compete as themselves. There isn't that additional aspect of like trying to sabotage or whatever. And it is like good for them in terms of like keeping them mentally healthy. So I guess I understand that to an extent, but otherwise, I will not be surprised if by episode 4, I'm just clicking through them and get into the strategy part again.
Yeah, totally. Okay, well, coming out of the challenge, we got Cody annoyed with Christian. We got everyone annoyed with Reza, basically. Kate was suspecting Christian because he was overcompensating with his personality and just his challenge performance. And we find that Kate and Reza really get along, and Kate and Brandy and Reza and Brandy, there's like a little Bravo crew that's become pretty strong, which isn't surprising. They probably know each other already. They go on Watch What Happens Live or BravoCon or whatever. I'm sure they all know each other.
When Kate said like, yeah, Brandy and I are very similar and I think we're going to get along great, that was music to my ears. I was like, yes, give me this dynamic duo. This is going to be great television.
Yes. Yeah, I really like them together. We got a good moment with them in the second episode. And I'm excited to talk about. About that. So in terms of the traitor discussion, they go upstairs to the clock tower, wherever they are. I don't think I'm skipping too much here. I think, after the challenge, it was more just like chatter. I didn't really take anything too much from that, but they discussed Michael. They felt like he's harmless and they really want to keep people around that's harmless. And this is where Cody really leans in on Kate, Brandy, and Reza. I think he calls Kate toxic. And I was like, okay, tell me more that you're threatened by Kate with like, you can't handle her strong personality, Cody Calafiore, because, okay. I took personal offense to that just because I'm a Kate stan. But yeah, they're all talking essentially about the Bravo crew outside of Kyle. Kyle's not included in that. And this is sort of where the episode ends. And I already knew, one, my draft team is in shambles already because I have Michael, who's annoying as hell. And then I have Reza and I have Kate, and one of them is likely leaving, or Brandy. I would have been shocked if it were Brandy leaving this first episode, just because I feel like Brandy's she's been on like every reality. She's a name more than Reza and Kate are names. So I didn't think we would lose her so soon. But what were you guys thinking toward the end of this episode? Were you as bummed as I was that this is the group that they were talking about murdering?
Absolutely. I wasn't surprised because, I called it 2 days ago that your alliances are only hindering you in this game, at least if they're such out loud alliances. To have people that you can like bounce things off of and trust, but you can't just like go showboating it in front of everybody, because like the traitor said, we want to cause chaos. We want to. I think Cody said it well, where he's like, I never want the dust to settle. I want the dust like constantly kicking up. And I actually think that's like a great game plan to, I don't know if it can be executed, but that's what you're doing by saying like, we don't give a fuck if you're a strong 3 and you're funny and people like you and like you knew each other, whatever, like we're coming for you.
Yeah.
For me, the only thing I was thinking was like, this is like typical Cody gameplay, like trying to get out the fun people.
Yep.
This is the same gameplay he did in BB16, same gameplay in All Stars. Like, if
Rest in
anyone
peace,
is having a little too
Keisha.
much
Rest in
fun,
peace, Janelle.
rest in peace, Davon. Like, he was just
Davon.
always like, you know, he like take a playbook out of Derek. That's what Derek did on BB16. Like, it's literally the same gameplay. So I was not shocked at all that Cody was like, okay, the 3 fun, loud people, we need to get one of them out. So that's my only thought. Like, I was like, okay, this is typical Cody gameplay. Isn't a gun for one of these 3. So
I know. I almost wrote I didn't write it down, but I was thinking about it when I was watching it and this discussion was happening. I was like, well, I guess Cody Calafiore is going to ruin another show that I love because by just ruining the cast and making it boring, because you're exactly right, Javier. I didn't watch Big Brother 16, but like Big Brother All Stars, he just like knocked off every interesting person that was there and people that we were excited to see. And I feel like that's exactly what's going to happen here. And just to go back to the traitor selection really quickly, like I was a little disappointed that if we got 2 out of the 3 being reality stars, that 2 out of the 3 of them were on strategic shows. Like, give me a Kate, give me a Brandy, give me a Reza, give me someone like that who doesn't play, a Kyle, an Ari even, who's like still boring. But at least it's somebody that like isn't a game player and didn't win Big Brother and come very close and probably would have won a season of Survivor if they didn't get screwed multiple times by like rule changes and advantages. Give someone else a chance to like shine a little bit. Like, give me Suri and Brandy. I would love to see Suri and Brandy working together. I think Brandy has an interesting strategic mind and I think she's thinking about things in a good way. Like, let's see how she would do as a traitor. I don't know. I'm frustrated. I don't want Cody as a traitor.
Yeah, and I think it goes back to what we talked about on Tuesday, is that I know Isaiah said, like, I know I'm watching this and a bunch of other people are because of the reality people that they're bringing in, but the fun is not knowing what these people are capable of and it feels like Peacock felt obligated to choose 2 people who have a resume already and being able to be socially strategic in one of these games. And like you said, like, I think Brandy would be a great traitor. Kate, obviously, like, give us, mix it up. I'm still concerned that I'm going to like this season 3 of the 3 that I've watched, because we need to rely. I shouldn't say we need to, but Peacock feels that they need to rely on these reality TV stars to bring in viewers, because you're deciding to run it on your streaming network that is still relatively new and still fucks up all the time on my browser. Like, I shouldn't have to refresh the page after I pause Peacock, and I've complained to you about it, and you're like, clear your cookies. Listen, my cookies are clear. I should be able to click play. So, like, Suri is not going to fix that for me. I don't know. I said it on Tuesday, and I'm hoping it gets to a point where, like, it no longer matters who was on TV before this and who wasn't. But right now we're really leaning into that. And I think that's unfortunate, because we saw the magic that was created by having like 76-year-old Andrea and then like legal little person Meryl and a magician in Tom and his girlfriend Alex on the, you know what I mean? Like, we had such cool characters that are just people. And not that these people aren't people, but they're like people who've been on TV.
Yeah, exactly. I completely agree.
Yeah, no, I think you both made a great point. I agree. I wish, they didn't put like the 2 people who we know strategize and have a strategic mind. You know, that's not like as fun to watch as watching someone who's never done it before, or someone chaotic like Kate, you know?
Yeah, like let's see someone get out of their comfort zone a little bit instead of just putting people right where they're used to operating. But this episode ends on a cliffhanger. So we pick up in episode 2 and we go to breakfast. It starts off at breakfast. Javier, Kari and I are very familiar with this breakfast format, but what did you think about this and kind of the reveal of who was murdered overnight?
All right, so first thing I want to complain about, what is this table? Why are they
Yeah, it's
sitting
a
on
little
an
bit of a
L
weird table.
Like, why are they not all sitting on a big, like, circular table looking at each? I'm sorry, that really peeved me. I was like,
I
you
think
can't
it's so they can all
interact.
see the door.
Yeah,
So
but
they
like,
can see who comes in.
but like, then make it like a row. But they put it's like a weird L shape. Like the
I
people
don't
with weird-
disagree with you, but
Yeah.
I think
No,
that's
it's an
the
awkward
purpose.
table.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hate that. Maybe that's yeah. I agree. That was my first pet peeve. I was like, I hate this table. Like, you can't talk to the person over here. You know. But I think the reveal was. I do think it was kind of weird that they saved Reza and Kate for last. Like knowing that. I guess the cast doesn't know, but we know that they were like the main suspects. So I guess that's for the suspense. But I feel like if I'm on the cast, also, my brain to start working like. If Kate and Reza were the last two, they probably were the two in the deliberations who were like being chosen between. So I think putting it in the order that they put it wasn't great either. They should have put some like maybe like the last three and like someone random, not the people who the traitors were deliberating about. I thought it was weird how they come out, you know?
So sometimes, and I agree, I think sometimes in the UK at least, it wasn't always this way. Like they kind of switched the order up a little bit and they would bring like, let's say it was like Reza, Kate, and I don't know, Rachel Riley and another like all coming in at the same time at the end. And then they like, I don't know, it wasn't always the last person, right?
I think it was usually one at the end. And it was I think it was never a traitor that came in at the end in UK. Australia did a better job of mixing it up.
Okay.
Australia had a traitor come in. They also in Australia had people come in one at a time throughout the whole breakfast. So people really liked being the first one in because they could see everybody's reaction to like who was there when they got there. And it wasn't like a whole group coming in because that's a lot to take in at once, which I thought was like a key difference and also a helpful difference because that did spur a lot of the accusations of like, oh, well, when Tommy didn't come in and they were murdered, Susie had no reaction. Like they must have known that Tommy was being murdered. They have to be a traitor. And like they were able to kind of like know who it was just it gave a little bit more opportunity to analyze people in the Australian one. But to go back to what you were saying, Javier, that's like been a big complaint about the UK one, especially on Reddit and stuff of like, well, wouldn't they start realizing that the last people coming in were always end up being faithful, that they must not be? And to also like, I guess kind of bring it back to the episode we're watching now, I don't know if murdering Reza was the smartest thing because you've basically, in my opinion, cleared Brandy and Kate of being traitors. There's still obviously one of the traitors from the UK, his thing was like befriend then betray, and that could be a strategy used, but also these three knew each other beforehand, so I feel like you're less likely to betray them, especially this early. So I feel like that move clears two people. Like if I'm Brandy and Kate, that is the backbone of any conversation I have. Like, why would I kill Reza first? What do I gain from killing? And you could see it like clearly on Brandy, her body language and her reaction that like, could she fake that? Sure, but she wasn't. I don't know. I thought that was a weird move to, I get why going after them, but also I don't know if we thought of the ramifications of like who you don't necessarily have to know who a traitor is if you're also figuring out who faithful are in the process. That's worthwhile information as well.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I also think it was a bad move because it's going to solidify Kate and Brandy even more and they're going to work together even more. Whereas before they were friends and they were probably sharing theories, but this gives a concrete like, okay, well, I know it wasn't you and I know it wasn't you. So who could it be that would have gotten rid of Reza? I think it is a bad move. I think they probably should have murdered someone that had an Ari just get rid of Ari. Like there's no, that's not going to point to anybody specific or one of the civilians. If you know, I wouldn't really want that just because obviously, but that I think would have been a better way for them to kind of fly under the radar.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think it was a bad move. And like same thing, I wrote Reza's at first boot. If I'm in that game, okay, it's not Brandy or Kate. Like right away, they're not traitors. Because yes, I know people backstab their allies, but you wouldn't do that week one.
No, not right away. Yeah.
Not good gameplay, you know? So yeah, I think that was bad gameplay from the traitors on that aspect, because to me it clears Kate and Brandy, you know?
Yeah. And it just, I mean, at this point, especially so early, everybody just wants something to go on, right? So like that's a perfect excuse for it to clear Kate and Brandy's name to everybody else of just like, it's week one. Why would I turn against one of my allies this early in the game? It doesn't make any sense. So I totally agree with you. I didn't love that Alan coming through Reza's picture on the ground. That just made me miss Claudia a little bit. I don't know. I was just kind of like, oh, this is like a little too like, I don't know. I didn't love that. And I'm upset that Reza's gone. Like Reza is such a great personality for TV. This is like a blow. I feel like any one of those three leaving would have been a blow. I'm just disappointed that it started off this way.
His reaction when he read the letter, you could tell that he was genuinely upset that he wasn't going to play this game anymore.
Yeah.
And I think that's something that if you're watching this for the first time, that it's hard to get a grasp of till maybe like 2 or 3 murders in, that someone could be crushing it in who they think it is. And then like, they're just taken out. Like you almost have to like not over, or you have to be like strategic overtly. And these big personalities we get to know and like, especially when we see them developing these relationships, like you get people taken away from you very quickly in this game.
Totally. And I even just like thinking back to what we were just saying about how it wasn't a great move, I would leave big personalities like Reza in the game because it takes attention away from you. And it also, that gives the faithfuls someone to vote against at the round table. If, you know, a lot of attention is going to be on somebody like a Reza or somebody like a Kate or somebody like a Brandy. So why not let them make their own mistakes and get voted out on their own, and you just take out a random that no one's ever going to think about? Like I know we kind of like hashed it over already, but I'm just disappointed that this is kind of where we started.
Agreed.
I think you almost, if you're the traitors, have to go Kate then Brandy next, or Brandy then Kate next.
If this is the boot order, I'm going to jump out my window, because if we lose Reza and then Kate and then Brandy in succession, I would just be so upset. But I'm worried for Brandy, and we'll talk about why. But like, I'm really worried for Brandy.
I'm really rooting for Brandy. Yeah.
Yeah.
But we'll get to that too. Yeah.
Yeah.
I just think they like, if they don't do that, then they're going to give more opportunities to be caught, because I feel that the longer you leave them in, the longer people know that they're faithful. And so like by killing the concretely faithful, then you're leaving the we're not sure who they are in. And if you're getting rid of people that there's questions about, then you're just doing yourself a disservice. Like, to me, strategically, if you've now killed Reza, your next two have to be those two.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think you're right. Ugh, I just hate the thought of it, because that'll really upset me, because those are the three I was probably the most excited to watch.
Yeah, I'm not rooting for that to happen in the slightest, by the way.
I know.
I've already tweeted out how much I love Kate and Brandy on the same TV show together. I would just put them on a show together, period. Like, let me watch that.
I know, they're fun. They have a good dynamic.
Yeah. They're hilarious.
Yeah. So after breakfast, we do get a little bit of chatter and just like, oh, well, Michael and Reza had words at the challenge and they got into an argument. So it's probably Michael. And then I guess Geraldine is the one that kind of says that. And that kind of just like sparks off this Michael versus Geraldine. I mean, it's Michael versus Geraldine, but it really feels like it's one-sided, Michael against Geraldine, not so much Geraldine in reverse. And this just starts kind of off like this whole topic of discussion before the challenge. Was there anything here that, aside from that we feel like was worth spending a ton of time on? I feel like Geraldine still has a ton of suspicion on her because of her body language, but I feel like at this point, like, okay, it's been 24 hours. Like, that was one thing. Is this really something that we should be going off of just because she was shaking her leg? Like, it's a nerve-wracking situation. She's never been on TV before. Was there anything else pre-challenge that felt like we should discuss at all? I will, full disclosure, did not take notes on the second episode. So if there's anything, please step in. And I was doing something similar to Kari. Let's just say that. Multitasking.
Well, I have two thoughts pre-challenge. First of all, I'm gonna keep talking about Christian, but like again, Christian is just, oh my God, I'm so glad you're still here. Oh my God, he starts mentioning Michael. Oh my God, Geraldine. Like, bro, again, relax. Like right when Reza's eliminated, he's super extra. He's super in everyone's face again. He's like I think someone even said it. Like he's like overcompensating. That's what it looks like to me.
Yes.
Like, if I'm in that game, I'm like, Christian is 100% a traitor. You're done. Like you're done in my book. You know, so again, I think Christian was doing way too much after that elimination. And
wait, before your next thing,
yeah,
can I just point out that it is the women who are clocking Christian?
Yep. Oh yeah, and Suri called him a labradoodle and was like, he's doing everything that you shouldn't do as a traitor.
Yeah, it's the women who are noticing like this above and beyond behavior out of him, and I think it's interesting that the men aren't noticing that. But just wanted to point that out.
It's true. It's
Javier.
a good point.
No, that is a good point actually. But again, I think that also goes back to like when we're talking in the draft. Like I feel like in reality, these shows, like the men will tend to stick together a lot of times.
Yep.
And I think that's gonna work for Christian. I actually don't think Christian's long for this game.
I don't think so either.
But we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, I don't think Christian's long for this game either. No, go ahead.
Suri and Cody strengthen their game by getting Christian out.
100%.
Next episode, or like basically next banishment or the banishment after, because if the two of them vote for him, that gives them easily 2 to 3 banishments of, unless like something wild happens where they can, like they're on the right side of the numbers, unless obviously like everybody votes for Christian, then, but if it's a split vote, and they're on the right side of it, it is in, I hope Suri comes in to Cody and it's just like, we got to do it. We got to do it.
Yeah. I don't think she'll hesitate. I do not think she'll hesitate. Was there a second thing you wanted to discuss, right, Javier?
Oh, yes. The second thing I want to discuss is if I'm in the game, the fact that Reza went home, to me, that makes Michael less likely to be the traitor.
Yes.
Because it would be too obvious for Michael to kill someone he just had some beef with. Like, even if you think Michael is like a Ryan Lochte, he's like whatever, he's not the brightest person. Like, it just wouldn't make sense for Michael to kill Reza. So the fact that he became such a big target to me was very weird for if I were a game player in the whole scenario. I would be like, okay, it's definitely not Michael because he wouldn't make himself such an obvious traitor, you know?
Yeah, I agree. I think Michael dug his own grave a little bit, no pun intended, with what the challenge is. But I think he made a lot of mistakes throughout this entire episode. Like, the guy's a mess. But I agree with you. Like, and they talk a lot about that. And I hate to keep going back to the UK, but it just feels like we got to see their thought process a little bit in those ways. Like, well, we can't kill this person because this person had suspicion on me, and then it would be obvious that it was me. So it's like we got to hear their thought process around that a little bit more. And I feel like hopefully that would kind of, if Brandy goes next week, I think that would be like, oh, Brandy put suspicion on Suri and Christian, so maybe it's Suri and Christian that got back. You know, like, I think that would give it, kind of like tie it to them a little bit. So we get to the next challenge. It is, and I don't know really how to explain this one. There's 3 teams. They have maps. Some of the team members are buried alive. Yes. There's a part of the team that gets buried alive in graves, and then the other team has to go find clues to figure out where their grave is, and then dig them up. And then they win money based on if all the teams win, and unbury or dig up their teammates. This challenge is interesting to me. So Kari and I were talking a little bit pre-recording, and the challenges are all the same from the UK, but they are in a different order. So this one was played a little bit later on in the UK. And so I think that's a good thing, because of what you mentioned to me over text, Kari, is that like people were using the trailer as a little bit of like a, oh, well, this person makes it this far, or this person's out already. I like that they're kind of switching up the order. What did you think about this challenge? Anything top of mind outside of, we'll talk about the Michael of it and stuff like that, but anything like challenge wise that you have to, top of your mind?
I have 3 things. One,
Okay.
One of the challenges I actually greatly enjoyed from the UK was episode 2 challenge.
Yes.
And so when it wasn't that one, if you didn't watch it, and maybe they'll do it later, and I hope that they do because it was really fun.
Yeah, that was a
Essentially,
fun
they
one.
split into 2 teams, and there's bells in the castle, and so they made one person kind of like conduct, and you tell the like, okay, bell 1, bell 4, bell 5, bell 1, bell 1, and it played a song, and then the other group had to recognize the song. Then there was a bunch of like music boxes, and the music boxes played the song, and you had to find the right one, which then there was like a item in the box, and you had to go find that in the house. It was a really cool challenge.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun.
I was so pumped to see that one again. It was probably my favorite challenge from the whole UK series. And then when that didn't happen, I was like, shit. But so that was point 1. But point 2, I don't know what you think about this, but in the UK one, once one team finished unburying their teammates, they helped the other teams unbury their teammates. And that didn't happen here.
I was actually trying to follow that because I couldn't. I guess maybe it was just that I didn't realize who was on what team, but toward the end of it, it did seem like they weren't digging up other people that weren't on their teams, which does not make any sense because you're all trying to get the money. So like you should all be contributing. And that's part of the thing that I liked about some of the challenges, and kind of to what Claudia, the host of the UK, was saying, is that like it's good for them mentally to like all work together and get their heads out of the game and really just like work together as a team. And that's the only part of some of the challenges that I enjoyed in the UK, was getting to see the Traitors and everybody just kind of come together and bond. So yeah, I thought that was, so that's for sure, right? Nobody was digging up people from their other team. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's weird. I'm surprised that they didn't do that.
I had a third thing for it. Oh, I think the worst people to be in the graves were in the graves.
Yeah. Totally.
Almost anyone who was buried alive would have been far better at the other part of the challenge. Like they could not have volunteered 6 worst people.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I agree with you 1,000%. Like put Kate in the grave.
Absolutely. Yep.
And get these people some tracksuits. That's all.
Yeah, the outfits here, they were just like not appropriate for the amount of running around.
No.
Andy apparently can't read a map. So that's like some Mole Joy vibes that we're getting from Andy. What did you think about this challenge, Javier?
It was fine. I didn't really care for this challenge. Like I didn't find it exciting, or like I found the first one a bit more fun than this one. The only thing I enjoyed about it was like all the drama that Michael caused and all the chaos he caused. So that's why I guess I enjoyed it, because it was a vehicle for Michael to be a mess, to really begin his messy descent into like, even if you're not a traitor, like I'm voting you out because I just don't want you here because I don't trust you anymore, you know?
Yes. Yeah. So let's talk about Michael. Let's talk about Michael, because I agree with you. And I'm also like a little bit annoyed that strategy is happening during the challenges, because that means I have to watch the challenges, where I was kind of like with Kari of like, well, I'll just like click through or fast forward. But now I'm like, oh, things are happening that are actually important that I have to know about, which wasn't really the case in the UK. They just like all came together, did the challenges, and weren't strategizing in between. I think Michael's watched a little too much Survivor and maybe a little too much Big Brother in his past, and he thinks that he is a little bit of a strategic mastermind when he is, in fact, not one. The fact that he, while running from one checkpoint to another checkpoint to look for clues, was saying to Kate, like, so we're voting Geraldine? Like, why are you even thinking about this right now, first of all? And Kate's just like, oh, like she's clearly taken aback. And he's like, if you don't vote Geraldine, I'm voting you. And it's like, what the hell just happened? What are you doing? Why? What were you thinking in that moment? Like, how could that possibly have worked out for you?
A mess. No, Michael's a total mess. I like gas. I was like, why would you tell her you're gonna send her home if she doesn't? What is that? You know? And then the same thing when they dig up, who was it? Kyle. Oh, Kyle, you're gonna vote out Geraldine?
He's like covered in dirt, and he's like, Geraldine. And Kyle's like, what, dude? Like, we're trying to win some money. Chill.
So yeah, Michael just really dropped the ball this challenge.
Over the top, which is funny because he was so annoyed with Reza in the last challenge for being over the top, actually, and now he's the one that's like just being completely wild.
You would also think that because they've already done a challenge and done a banishment. No, they haven't done a banishment
No,
yet.
they have not done a banishment.
Okay.
They had a murder.
Oh,
but not a
right. So they
banishment.
did know that they had time to talk after the challenge. Okay, I'll take that back. So at least in that moment, I can understand being like, shit, I don't know if I'm going to get to talk to him again. Are they going to make us like walk straight out of the car, go in and like vote? So I can understand it to an extent, but yeah, you're doing too much, Michael. I really
Way
wasn't
too
expecting
much.
that out of him, but
No, neither was I. The threat to Kate was truly wild to me.
That's what broke me. I was like, all right, Michael, that's it.
I was like,
You're done.
come on, my guy. And that's when
Of
I said to
all
Kari, I was like, my
people-
team is in disarray. Everyone, this is just a mess.
yeah, if you're going to threaten anybody, the last person is Kate.
Yeah, she actually took it better than I thought she would.
Mm-hmm. But
So
it's
there's that.
still like,
Yeah.
you must not watch all reality TV. Do you not
Yeah.
know who she is?
Yeah, I know. I think there was also a point where it's just speaking of the wrong people in the graves. Wasn't there a point where she did say like, I'll happily get in this grave than run around with like Quentin and whoever. Yeah. So other than that, I feel like there wasn't really a ton going on in the challenge. I feel like Michael was really, and then just Andy making the mistake with the map. And so causing, I think that was the blue team to not complete the challenge.
Yes.
The other two teams did. So I don't remember exactly how much money they
I
banked.
think 20.
20.
For each person you bury, you made 5.
Okay.
Yep.
So, yeah, I don't know. This was, again, I think Brandy's performing and I'm impressed with her. And I haven't watched Celebrity Big Brother since it came out. And that was actually my first season of Big Brother that I've ever watched. So I need to go back and watch. Yeah, I jumped in at Celebrity Big Brother 1. And so I need to just go back and kind of rewatch and remember some of Brandy's gameplay because she's just really, I'm impressed by Brandy so far.
No,
I'm
she
not
was
surprised.
impressive on Celebrity Big Brother, by the way. Like she was, I really liked her, and she was very strategic on Celebrity Big Brother. So.
Yeah, I was definitely rooting for her for sure.
I haven't seen her on any show outside of Housewives and Ultimate Girls Trip, which is just an off branch of Housewives. And none of this is surprising. And that was a reason that I didn't get Kate. And so Brandy was my next one because despite the fact that she can be a mess, I also think that she's so perceptive.
Yeah.
And she's just not good at relaying what she perceives about people in the nicest ways sometimes. But more often than not, even if you disagree with how she says something, she's usually right.
Yeah.
And she's showcasing those abilities here. So I'm not surprised. It's just that I'm so concerned because she's telling the wrong people
Yes.
that what she thinks. And I just think that it's putting a massive target on her back.
Yeah, she's already clocked 2 of the 3 traitors.
And she said it
episode.
in front of Cody, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And it's just, she has such good instinct. And I'm just exactly that. It's like she's her own worst enemy because she's just saying it in front of whoever's there. And if she would say it to Kate, then maybe Kate could like help her strategically find someone that they trust to say that to and then quietly spread the word. But to just openly say it so early when you don't know who the traitors are, like you're in the car with the traitor and you just correctly clocked 2 of them. I hope that Cody realizes or Sari realizes that, oh, Brandy clocked 2 of them. And then if we murder Brandy next, it's going to be like, oh, maybe it is because there were other people in the car. I don't know. I'm worried though for our girl Brandy.
Very.
So we get to, well, everybody kind of shares their stories about Michael. And we have a little bit more discourse prior to the roundtable, but it really does seem like we're between Geraldine and we're between Michael heading into the roundtable. Michael is like really holding on to this thing that Geraldine like spread a rumor that he got into a fight with Reza, which, I mean, they did kind of have words. Like he did say like, Reza, just chill, like stop talking or whatever. So it's not like she was lying. I guess he just doesn't remember that taking place, but that's really like the main reason why he's pushing Geraldine at this point.
Yeah, not out of anything concrete against her. I mean, some people were like, oh, the way she reacted or whatever, but his pushing for Geraldine is more out of spite than out of logic.
Yes, absolutely. Anything else that we should talk about before we hit the roundtable, or should we just get right into it?
I'm ready for it.
I'm ready.
Right. So we start our roundtable. The format of the roundtable is that everybody has a discussion, and it's pretty much like an open discussion, and they discuss who they have suspicions about and why, and the people get to plead their case about why that's not the case, and they publicly vote. Javier, since you haven't seen this before, what did you think about this format?
So referring to other reality TV shows, it reminded me of The Challenge, like when they do deliberations and like all the like double agents or whatever season, you know, with all of those different, you know, that's how they usually deliberate.
Yeah.
So yeah, I thought I think it's a good way to deliberate because it shows a lot of people's cards. And I think, like, I don't know if we're gonna get into it right away, but I do think Cody and Christian played this very poorly again.
Me too. Me too.
And they just really did not play this well at all. But yeah, I do enjoy, like, I like that it's an open discussion.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, let's jump into it. Cody kind of kicks it off. But I agree with you. I think Cody and Christian, they are not hiding their cards at all.
At all.
Yeah.
Okay, not to defend Christian, but here's where I actually think in him leading the discussion, or I guess Cody did, but then him jumping in right away, at least it's a pattern. You know what I mean? So like he can easily go back and be like, I have acted this way from the moment I've gotten into this house. And so like, I'm not acting any different than any way you've seen me throughout the whole time here. I think Cody, it's a little bit more difficult because there's people who have known him and have watched him play games on TV. But at least for Christian, he can be like, I'm sorry I annoy the fuck out of you, but that is just me. I am just the man in charge who puts my 2 cents in all the time and tells you what to do. I'm working on it. I'm trying to be better, but sorry, that's just me. And so at least he's consistently an asshat and not just like sporadically one. If anything, he can at least like rely on that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That's a good point. I feel like the way Cody is conducting himself is how Cody conducted himself in Big Brother 22 when he was playing from a position of running the house from week 1. So it's like he's obviously confident that he has some kind of power and feels like he can step in as the voice. So that should start clicking some things in people's heads. Like, why is this guy so confident enough to just like stand up and act like he's kind of running the show? So I'm kind of hoping that people start noticing that from him.
Yeah, no, I was very shocked that Cody led the discussion, you know, given that, because again, I feel like Cody takes his strategy from someone like a Derek. And I know you didn't watch BB16, but in BB16, Derek won because he would always let other people talk. So you never want to be the first person to talk. And I think that's unfortunate, even though Derek was kind of a boring player, that is an amazing strategy. I think you never want to be the first person to throw out a name, throw out an idea. So I was kind of shocked given that like Cody came in with that energy. But I think, like you said, he still has like this inflated head from All Stars that he still thinks that he's like untouchable and all of this stuff. So while I was shocked because I think it's a bad move, you know, if he is carrying that energy from Big Brother All Stars, it kind of makes sense why he's playing the game the same way almost.
Yeah, I agree with you completely. And Suri kind of said something like that at the end of the first episode when they were deliberating and she had a confessional and was like, I'm letting these guys call the shots. Like, I don't want to be in the driver's seat. And I think that's the perfect strategy for her, especially for her who is already going to have such a target, where Cody's just completely the opposite. He's like, oh, let me just step right into this role of like this HOH or this traitor or whatever, this veto winner, whatever you are, where you have a shred of power and you let it get to your head. I mean, the guy's on a podcast called The Winner Circle. Like, come on, how much more of an ego do you have to have? Like, I think it's going to be his downfall for sure.
To back what you're saying about Suri, when she said that, I like, not that I ever doubted that she wouldn't get there on her own, but let their thinking be the thing that guides you, because that means there's going to be 2 traitors voted out before you. You know what I mean? Like she has meat shields right now, and good for her, because I really think that this is of the version, like the 3 that I've seen, that we haven't really seen that otherwise in any other ones, where it does tend to be a bit more equal in thinking and partnership, where while I wasn't surprised at Suri holding back in her confession, or in like while they were having the conversation, I just think that she is going to just increase her length of stay in this game if she allows that to happen. Like, let the boys be the boys. Let them Let them think that they're running everything because they're just going
Mhm.
to find a brick wall soon.
Oh,
Mhm.
1,000%. I agree with you. I wholeheartedly.
Yeah, no, I fully agree. I think it's for me, it's like Christian is of course going first in the next. I don't see Christian making it past the next two episodes,
No.
and then Cody. He is gonna make it deep, but there's I if these people are like smart at all, I feel like Cody's not making it too far into the game because he's trying too hard to like lead all the conversations. So yeah, I think this is really good for Suri. I think Suri's in the best position out of all the traders to like be the last trader standing. And so I know y'all said that that more traders will join eventually, so it'll be interesting who they end up choosing. But I think from the original three, Suri's definitely going to be the last one standing.
Yeah, I think you're right. And yeah, I won't talk too much because I don't want to spoil for anybody who hasn't seen the other versions, but there might be other traders and then there might not. Like there's
That's
a
true.
potential. We don't know.
Well, yeah. Let's put it this way. There will almost definitely be another trader brought in who is not one of these originals. I would bet not a large sum of money, but a decent sum of money. One that would like hurt for a little bit to lose, but
Yeah.
I would still be like able to pay my rent, you know?
Yeah, totally.
But I do want to say on that before we get off of it, I think that the way that the traders have been chosen and how early they are being clocked, that a recruited trader this season is in such a great spot
1,000%.
to have a deep run in this game.
Yes, I agree with you.
Especially if it's someone like if Kate or Brandy can manage to get through to when they recruit a trader and one of the two of them it gets recruited and they choose to, because like right now I think they're arguably the two most faithful amongst the group, that they could do some damage.
Yeah.
Recruited traders right now, you don't know who you are yet, but it's looking good for you.
Yes, definitely. I agree. So at the round table, the topic of discussion kicks off about Geraldine and her reaction and her body language. And then we get into Michael, and Kate shares her experience with Michael, and then Kyle backs her up. What did you think about this back and forth between, like, who would you guys have voted for in this instance? Would you have voted for Geraldine or would you have voted for Michael? Or would you have voted for someone else completely?
I would have voted for Michael. And here's why. For
Michael too.
I did not like Michael's defense of his actions, especially when he was like, I have anxiety, I'm not good at talking to people. Yep. And it's like, I just don't think that, like, if that's what you're going to use as a defense for something on a TV show that you got cast, like, why are you on here then? Politely. Yep. Like, I'm not downplaying anybody having anxiety and how social anxiety can be crippling. Just anxiety can be crippling. Like, please don't take it as a negative in that. And it's just the idea of like, you're going to use it as a defense mechanism to then also help you shift the blame to somebody else, specifically the person who was putting the blame on you. Like, I just think that it's a gross defense, and I didn't like it. So as soon as, if I was in that room and it's like, I'm not good at talking to people because of my anxiety, I'd be like, all right, well then let's make it easier for you to not have to talk to people. I'm voting for you. Go home.
I mean, I think you put it perfectly, Kari, in terms of how I felt the same way about Michael's defense as to why he was reacting the way he was reacting. Like you said, it's a reality TV show. Like, you gotta come up with something better, in my opinion. So I agree with you there. But I still would have voted out Geraldine. I don't think Geraldine, first of all, did herself any service. Like, she didn't defend herself at all.
Yeah,
like,
I don't remember one thing she said.
No. I know she said when she's under pressure, blah, blah, blah. But again, like, you're on a reality TV show. Give me something. You don't have to overreact, but you got to say something logical, say something to defend yourself. And she did not. So to me, I would vote out Geraldine. And also, Michael's clearly chaotic. I want someone like that in the game. Everyone's going to target Michael first before they target me. So I would keep Michael in the game for as long as I can. Especially if I'm a trader. I'm like, oh, I'm keeping Michael here. People are going to either get annoyed with Michael or they're going to not trust Michael, etc. And they will always go for him before me. So that's why I would have voted out Geraldine too.
The thing that would make me nervous, I think, as a player about Michael is that he is a wild card. Like for him to just come straight out and say, if you don't vote for Geraldine, then I'm voting for you. Like if that gains traction, then like maybe I'm going home. So I would be like, get this guy out of here, because who knows who he's going to throw under the bus next. And then someone will eventually get behind him. And because if he's saying me as if I'm Kate Chastain, if he's saying Kate Chastain, that means he's not saying Kyle, and he's not saying, Ari and whoever. So like, why wouldn't they all just jump on the Kate train and vote her out so they're safe? So I feel like he's just chaotic. And I also feel like he said something in response of like, I was just joking around. And I was like, what? That was not a joke, my friend. That was definitely not a joke. Michael made a lot of choices. He made a lot of choices.
He's a DMV manager. Tell me the last time you went to the DMV and had a pleasant experience.
Well, that's true. I forgot he's a DMV manager. That is true.
Actually, the last time I went to the DMV, the woman was a fucking delight. And so she let me run back to my car and get something and not make me go to the end of the line. And she's like, just come back in and stand on the side. And she was so nice to me that I didn't know I needed it. So shout out to whoever that was. But otherwise, I stand by what I said.
Yeah. Yes. Shout out to her. We get to the votes. Unless there's anything else we want to talk about with the deliberation. I feel like it was really just like, this is why it's Geraldine. This is why it's Michael. And so early on, it's just very hard to pinpoint a real reason. But the votes are pretty close. There's a point where they're kind of going back and forth. We see a lot of votes for Michael. We see a lot of votes for Geraldine. Brandy notably votes for Michael. Kate votes for Michael. There's a few votes for Michael. How many does Geraldine win by? Like 2? 1 or 2? It was close.
It was 8-7. So then I think she got the 2 after that.
Yeah.
But no, there would be more because there's 20 people.
Yeah. When Alan was talking about
there's 19 because Reza's gone. So
yes.
It must have been what? I mean, because it was 8-7 and then she got 2. So that's 10-7.
Yeah.
So maybe it was 12-7. It was close for a bit, but then after he said the 8-7 part, I specifically remember that.
Yes.
We got a couple of Geraldine ones in a row.
Yes. Geraldine stands up and she tells everybody that she is a faithful. Notably, Andy got a little emotional. They were crying during their vote. And Javier, because you didn't watch the UK.
Yeah, this was nothing.
I have never seen more emotional people. Like everybody is sobbing at every vote. Someone had to excuse themselves because they were crying so hard. But it's such good TV. So I'm hoping that we get more emotional as we go on, because this is only vote 1 and I need to see some more tears and some more stress. But with a Brandy and a Kate, I don't know if that's going to be what we get.
Oh my God. I cannot wait to talk about this with a Brandy and a Kate. So before we do, I do want to say that I don't feel like Geraldine lived up to her bio. It's like a spicy Spitfire, this and that. And it was like,
that was her.
Yeah. Was she the one that didn't drink coffee? No, that was someone else, right?
It might have been her.
That she's like this high energy but never drank coffee.
I think it was her.
I think it was her.
Well, Katie got her wish. You don't drink coffee, you're not to be trusted. You're banished.
I'm literally drinking coffee right now. It's 11 p.m.
Oh, you're not trying to sleep tonight, Katie, huh?
I know. I don't know what's wrong with me.
But to bring it back to Brandy and Kate, this is actually, I think, I needed a Brandy and or a Kate in the UK season with all these tiers, because we get back into the castle and I think it's Christian, right? Who's like, I feel so bad or whatever. Like,
again,
dude, like stop talking. Stop talking.
Sorry to interrupt you, but again, he did the same thing. He making it things about himself being it was too much again. He did too much again,
Yeah,
but
I'm done with him.
It's Kate and Brandy being like, we can't cry after every person goes. Like, we just can't have this. You're not sorry. Everybody, it's gonna happen to everyone. Like, calm the fuck down and just kind of like
it's a game.
Laying it all out there, which we didn't have a lot of in the UK. But I was like, thank you, thank you. We need this sense of like, are you actually that sad at this person that you met literally a day and a half ago is gone? Really? Are you?
Right.
Stop it.
I know. And they were like almost getting emotional. Like Michael got a little bit emotional when Geraldine said that she wasn't a traitor. Like I guess he felt bad that he put so much suspicion on her or whatever. And I feel like they felt bad for Michael and they felt bad for Geraldine. And Brandy and Kate were just like, "Where's the wine? Is Alan bringing wine? You guys can't feel bad about this. Like we're not crying after every single person. Get over." And I was just like, "Thank God for these two."
Yeah. No, I fully agree. Just to quickly go back to the round table. Yeah, when Andy was getting emotional, I was like, come on. Like, and then I think Andy did something that I hate when players do when they say who they would have voted. Because Andy was like, I actually wrote down Geraldine's name first.
Yes.
Like, why ever say that? Why basically?
Because you could see it on their dusty
But
ass
Stephanie did
chalkboards.
too. Stephanie wrote Geraldine or Michael's name and erased it and then put.
But she didn't.
But she didn't say it. But you could see it.
But she did say, Stephanie, I think it was Stephanie, said, yeah, I went with my gut. And then you could see that they clearly erased it. And it's like, did you go with
it seems like your gut said Michael because that's whose name you wrote down first.
I also need to say at the round table, Australia has the superior chalkboards because they use the chalkboard markers and not the chalk. Cool. Yes, it is so much nicer. So can we just spend a little bit extra to get these people some chalkboard markers, please?
No, we need to talk about these chalkboard. I don't know, Katie, are you thinking what I'm thinking?
I don't know if I am, but I'm glad we're talking about I'm glad we didn't skip over some of this roundtable talk. I was moving too quickly because I want to talk about the way that everyone voted and spelled their names. Is that what you're going to talk about?
The spelling cracked me up.
How do you not know how to spell Michael? They're all writing Michelle, Michael, and I'm like, how do you not know how to spell Michael?
Michael. I was like, what?
It was unbelievable. It was like, you know, when people vote in Survivor and they like spell the names kind of wrong. This was like comically wrong. And then the fact that no one could even try and spell Geraldine and they just started writing G. And I think Ryan Lochte wrote GD, like GDEE. Yes. I was like, what is going on? I was like yelling at my TV. I was like, are these people for real with the way they're spelling these names? I was dying.
My favorite spelling was Rachel. She like sounded out Geraldine. She wrote it JERRYLDEAN. Yes. I literally wrote girl and a bunch of like I was cracking up. GD. They wrote her name in like 6 different ways. I was shocked.
Yes. I was the fact that like none of these men, all they did was write a G. I was like, come on, you can't even try. Give this woman the respect to at least try and spell her name. And then Geraldine literally wrote Michelle for Michael. I'm like, that name is not Michael. That is Michelle. It's a different name.
Oh
wild.
My God. I'm very excited for this moving forward. If they're going to keep spelling
me too. I can't wait. I can't wait.
I'm going to laugh so hard each time.
I can't wait.
As someone who is in the spells their name very weirdly club, I could only imagine what I would get. And so I feel for Geraldine in this moment. I've only found one like customized little, you know how you get like little license plates or whatever with your, like I've found one in 30. How old am I? 34? 34 years of being alive. Actually, my mom found it and she brought it home and it's probably like the best thing she's ever done. She was so proud of herself. But yeah, I could only imagine like what I would get. And my name's only 4 letters, but like hers is very easy to sound out.
Well, not for Rachel.
Gerald.
Yeah, Rachel sounded it out.
Geraldine. With a J.
She wrote Jerry, L, and then Dean.
I would have.
Real.
If I was her, I would be like, so do none of these votes count against me since none of these are my name?
Well, I kind of had that thought because I'm like, you're literally just writing G. Like, if I were on production, I'd be like, you have to write you have to write a name.
But I guess they say it. Like, they say
they say it.
You know, so.
I can't wait for someone to just write K and the number 8 for Kate.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't want to try and, I don't know, is there like a silent Y in there somewhere, like KAYTE or whatever?
I know. Well, Angelica's name is spelled with a J, right? So I think we'll
no
see
one's
like
gonna get
wild.
That.
No, we're not.
No.
What a mess. I'm glad that we went back to talk more about the roundtable because that was something I was like, make sure to talk about the way they spelled. And I was about to jump over it. I'm so glad we're on the same page with this and that we all noticed it because it was truly unbelievable.
I have a second thing I want to bring up before we move from the roundtable. Do you guys like that they reveal if the person was a traitor or not?
Yes.
Or faithful?
I like it.
Yeah, tell me because I didn't like it.
They don't know how many traitors there are. You know what I mean? So like even if they
3.
No, we know that. The game
Oh.
doesn't know that.
Oh, I thought
So
they knew.
no. They never give a
Hmm.
number on how many traitors there are to the players in the game. So
Hmm.
you're probably guessing based off of like ratios of 3 to 4 people, but there's not a definite. You never know how many traitors
Interesting.
are left.
Mhm.
So I think that that's part of it, because I guess the other part is like, if you don't know what that role is of that person, and we haven't seen it yet, but the way that finding a traitor just like changes the whole energy of the game. When it first happens, you'll see like if we go on a streak of like 2, 3, 4 not traitors being caught, and then they get one, like finding that traitor, it really changes just like the whole game really just kind of like picks up a level. And so I think it is good, but there the component of the fact that like they don't know how many not mafia
Mm.
traders. I was explaining this to someone as mafia. How many traders there are, I think is like a reason that it's okay that they tell them.
I mean,
I
for
didn't realize that they didn't know how many, but I guess that makes
No.
sense.
I think for me, I wish they would just reveal the traitors. Like, keep you thinking, and then, but then if you reveal the traitors, then you know they're faithful. So actually, scratch that.
I was gonna say,
Oh,
like,
yeah.
what's the other option?
Yeah, there's
Yeah.
there's no
you
other
just
option,
leave, then yeah.
The major criticism I've heard is, or I guess request of the show, is when players get murdered by the traitors, is that they get a reveal of who the traitor was,
Yeah, I would
and we
like
get
to
to see
see
their
that.
reaction. That I
Yeah.
would like to see.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, I don't mind them standing. I think especially because we just get so much raw emotion after
Yes.
those roundtables of people
Yeah.
just like sobbing or feeling bad. It's just like the reactions are so over the top. And at least I'm hoping that they will continue to be over the top. That it just makes great dramatic television.
Yeah, like Brandy or Kate need to be voted out, because if they're killed and I don't get that reaction, it's not going to be. If Brandy's there when Kate goes home, I'm ready for tables flinging, anger,
same.
dragging everyone. I need Brandy or Kate to be like voted out, not killed, because that will not be as entertaining at all.
Absolutely, I agree.
We saw in the UK, the first traitor that got voted out, the like deciding vote was another traitor, and that traitor also had received like the other half of the votes essentially. So like seeing the ramifications of that, because like that actually got that person a lot more time in the game, because it's like, oh, there's no way this person could be a traitor. They were the deciding vote to get this other or to get the traitor out and whatever. And like just seeing the reactions and stuff as well, that it definitely has a huge impact on what people perceive and like how it affects their like their votes and stuff going forward.
Yeah.
I think so. In the UK, it took them a little bit to find their footing, the cast, and get the first traitor out. It took a little while for that.
Do you know why that person got caught, by the way? They didn't show it.
No.
I was actually just explaining it. So they were like
the
sitting
first
in a
traitor
group.
that was voted out in the UK?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. They asked like, oh, do an impression of Claudia. And this traitor goes, hello, traitors, in the way that like Claudia said it to them when she would go and see them in the traitor tower. And everyone was like, we've never heard Claudia say that to us. And then they ran with that because like, okay, this person would only say that because they've heard Claudia say that to them.
Oh my God.
That's insane.
Yeah.
That is, why wouldn't they show that?
I don't know. I know that Claudia implied in like a preseason interview that the first traitor that gets caught said something they shouldn't have. And then it came out in like cast interviews and stuff that like that traitor was kind of like done. Like they were kind of falling apart. And then that was like the icing on the cake. But the fact that in that vote, like it was still came down to being so close is kind of crazy.
Wild. That's wild. Mm-hmm. That is funny. I did not know that.
I literally was just explaining that. Like someone DM'd me during the actually, you know, the story I told you of how someone threatened my life because I spoiled the All-Stars. So the person that I was sitting at the table with that I've remained Facebook and Twitter friends, or not remained, but became Twitter friends. She DM'd me during the thing and was like, explain the Traitors to me. Like, why do so many people like this? Why is this all over my timeline? And so she's like, but how do they figure out that they're traitors? I was like, well, in the UK one, this happened. And she was
that's
like,
funny.
oh, I get it. So yeah, we didn't see that on TV, but I think that's hilarious.
That is hilarious. What a mess. What a mistake. I lost what I was going to say. Oh, I think for this cast, what I was saying was it took a little while, I think, for the UK to find their footing and get a traitor out. I do not think that's going to be the case for this cast. This cast is much more strategic. Yeah. They're already, I mean, using challenges to strategize. It just feels like they're already on. I don't think we heard a correct traitor guess for a few episodes in the UK, and the first person that and the first person that stumbled upon it. Like, they were guessing for all the wrong reasons, but they were right, but they landed on one of the traitors for like all of the wrong reasons. So it was like a little frustrating, especially if you're rooting for a traitor. But yeah, I think that we're going to see some traitors get voted out a little bit earlier. And I also predict that we will see the traitors turning on each other before maybe we've seen other traitors turn on each other.
That's my hopes and dreams right there. So
me too. Please get Christian out, and then Suri just take
it's
out. It's
not long for Christian. I'm telling you, it's really not long for Christian in this game.
It's in their best interests, and I think Suri is really alluding to that in a lot of her confessionals. Like, he won't stop talking. So we end the episode. We see the traitors gathering again. We don't see a murder yet. We'll see it probably, I guess, again at the beginning of. Well, I guess that's kind of how it's been, right? We see the breakfasts in the next morning, and that's how it's revealed. But we do hear Christian. Is it Christian originally telling Suri or telling Cody that someone said his name? Either way, they're sharing their stories of what happened during the day. And they're basically like, oh, well, this person said your name. Well, Kate said, or Brandy said Suri and Christian. And this person said this. And they're like, oh, crap. So I'm worried for our girl, Brandy.
Yeah. But this is kind of, I'm glad we finally got to, because this is where I was stuck at the end of episode 2, right?
Okay.
So I'm like, okay, if I'm a traitor, right? So if they kill Brandy, I think if they kill Brandy, if I was in that car with Cody, Brandy, except whoever else was there, if I'm one of those people, I'm automatically pinning it on Cody.
Yep.
So I don't know. So to me, am I thinking too far ahead to think that they shouldn't kill Brandy off yet? Because if I were Cody, I would be afraid that people are going to pin it on me, at least the people who were in that car, and then that'll start a rumor. Or is that thinking too far ahead and they should just kill Brandy because Brandy already has ratted out 2 out of the 3? Like, where do you guys stand on that? Because
I think you're on point. I think it's a bad move if they take out Brandy because other people are around to hear her say that. So there's only one reason why they would have murdered Brandy, and it's if she got at least one of the traitors right. So one of them either had to be in the car or someone who, shared some information to a traitor. She nailed it though. So I think I'm with you 100%. It's a bad move if they murder Brandy.
I think they have to go for Kate. And then if I'm Suri, I am finding the people that also believe that Christian is a traitor, and I'm jumping on board and being part of those numbers, and I am getting rid of him. And then it's like, all right, let's see what happens from here. You weaken Brandy by taking out Kate. You also are getting out a clear-cut Faithful. And she's a strong personality. Like, people either respect her or hate her. And so that whole dust settling thing plays. If I'm a traitor, I'm killing Kate. And then if I'm Suri and Cody, I am voting out Christian with the numbers in this next one.
Yeah. I think so. Personally, I feel like it's too early to take out Brandy or Kate because I feel like the traitors took a really big swing at Reza first. So if they continue to take out big names, let's say, or like big personalities, and they don't touch a Suri, they don't touch a Cody, they don't touch a Rachel, and they're just only focusing on this one specific group of people, to me that just says like, okay, this is one of the celebrities because they have the balls to do this, and 2, they're like clearly targeting this group, so it's not part of this other like competitive reality TV group, not that they're grouped together, but I just feel like take someone out that's hasn't been speaking much, take out like a a Bam or like an Angelica or someone that like has no ties to anybody. And then it's just like, oh, well, that's random. And we can't really use it as a clue as to who would have done this. Like, that's what I think they did really well in the UK, is that they really strategized on who the right people were to take out, to not tie it to any one of them. And I feel like if they take out Brandy or Kate, it can very easily tie it to Christian, because Brandy and Kate were just like, what, are you going to cry about everybody? And it can, Brandy has been saying that it's either Christian or Cirie. So like, it would cause way too much of a spotlight on, I think, a group of those people. Maybe not all three of them, but I just think it would be so obvious. Take out Angelica, no one's going to care or know.
Mm-hmm. That's why I think for Cirie, it's a great move, because she's able to work with Brandy then on this vote. You know what I mean? Like, girl, how am I a traitor? I am right here agreeing with you that Christian is definitely a traitor. Mm-hmm. And so I feel like she can maybe loosen Brandy's grip on her. I think like if you go short-term big right now to then create confusion after, and then like kind of let Brandy hang around for a bit, because everyone knows that she's faithful. You've cut her out at the knees from her allies, and see like, all right, let's start hopping around, and you get rid of your liability.
Yeah. No, I think I would take out someone random, like Katie said, next, like an Angelica, a Bam, etc. And then I agree, I would also, for the next vote out, side with whoever's voting out Christian.
Yep.
And then I think that's actually how I feel Cody makes it further in the game.
Yeah.
I think more so than Cirie, for Cody's best interest, he needs to get rid of Christian ASAP, because I think Christian is just a liability for Cody. So I think Cody and Cirie, I think they're going to come to that conclusion, and I foresee that they're going to side with voting Christian out. And I think that's the best bet. And then you can go back once Christian's out. Then you can take out a Brandy. Then you can take out a Kate. That's what I would do.
Yeah, I have to say this first, Katie.
Yeah.
Imagine Cirie and Cody are in the tower with Christian and are like, we've decided who we're gonna murder. Christian, it's you. Sorry, like we're killing a fellow traitor. You gotta go.
Yeah, we just can't fucking stand you.
We signed the note. We hand it to you.
Yeah, here you go. You're out of here. That would be amazing.
It.
Yeah, that would be amazing.
Totally change up the game. Because then if you get murdered, everybody thinks that you're faithful. But like, no, we just could not have this guy on our team anymore.
Yeah, like we couldn't take it anymore.
He has to go.
Yeah. No, I agree with Javier, what you're saying. And I almost think like, Kari, to your point, leave Kate in the game, because Kate's a vote against Christian with Brandy. Like, they're going to vote together. And you can then have both of them saying like, oh, well, Cirie voted with us, so like she's obviously not a traitor. And they're two big personalities. I feel like it's more beneficial to have them both, especially because Kate's not suspecting Cirie right now. Mm-hmm. So, but she is kind of suspecting Christian. So like, Cirie could approach them and just be like, hey, Christian was kind of weird, and like immediately get the two of them on board. Mm-hmm. Yep. So... But that's where we end. We don't know yet what happens. I have not watched ahead yet, so I have ended. I did say before we podcasted that I was maybe going to go on a mini spoiler rant. I think we talked about it already, or I have mentioned it on other podcasts before, but like, can you guys just like not tweet out fucking names of people who have been eliminated from this show so fucking brazenly? Whoever you are, you can tweet. Just like, don't publicly put out information that like clearly gives things away. Just like, say a vague thought. Use the hashtag.
Please use the hashtag. That's my thing.
Well, the problem is that there's 3 hashtags that people use. So it's like
muted one. Shit.
Yeah, you have to mute the Traitors UK, the Traitors, and Traitors. This is the
Traitors
problem.
US.
Traitors US, yes, sorry. And mute the Traitors UK if you don't want to.
I need to go back to do that. Okay.
I have not gone on Twitter really at all today, other than really not at all. And I plan on staying off of Twitter until I'm done with the show, because people just have no respect, especially for a show that released all of its episodes in one day. To be able to find full like spoilers with names on it early in the morning, it's asinine to me. Like, just have some fucking respect for people who have a job. That's it. That's all I'm saying. Mm-hmm. We have obligations. We can't fully binge.
Facts. 100%. Fully agree.
When I tweeted that about the circle, I had some pretty, and not like this circle, because like people don't really care about it anymore, but like when people cared about the circle, and I got some backlash to it, and it's
People
just
take it personally when you tell them not to spoil things, which is just wild. It's like, well, I use the hashtag. It's like, yeah, but still, like, maybe I didn't use the right hashtag.
Something wrong. It didn't pick up, or yeah, I think that there needs to be some sort of established etiquette. Like, I feel like with movies, we've kind of established that you have that first weekend to go see it, and then after that, like that Monday, discourse is going to start happening about this movie on the internet, and either stay off or choose to be a part of it, you know? And I said this, and I can't remember like who was like, you're a moron, which I deserve that from time to time, but I would not hate if like at the end of, so for example, like The Circle drops 4 episodes at a time, or like when The Mole was coming out, it was dropping 5 or 2 or 3 episodes at a time. And I mean, given this, we have all 10, and maybe at the end of the episode, like, can't we just get a message from Peacock being like, please refrain from tweeting out spoilers for this show? Like, let's all have the conversation together starting on Monday, January, whatever. You know what I mean? Or, I mean, given a lot of people don't even work Mondays, so like, let's wait till Tuesday. Let's like let people have the weekend to watch this. Because the other thing is like they're dropping this on a Thursday. If you're gonna do that, drop it on a Saturday.
Yes. Give us time
or
to
Friday
consume.
night at like 6.
Yes.
Give us time to consume the content. At least, like, okay, if Peacock is going to have this release schedule of releasing every episode in one swoop, then people, if you don't want to be spoiled, don't fucking spoil things. Do you want people to sign online at 6 a.m. and just start writing names of people that have been eliminated from the show? No, you don't. So, like, don't do that to other people because you'd be pissed. So, like, just don't do it. Don't do it. Do you want to know who like the murderer is in a mystery before you see the movie? No, you don't. And you would be annoyed if somebody tweeted that out. So maybe you shouldn't do that. Also, no offense, but most of your thoughts are not worth tweeting. You, the general you, whoever's tweeting, and if you need to default to just saying, wow, this person's a traitor, or like, wow, this person's gone already. Don't tweet it. Keep it to yourself. It's not an interesting thought. No one cares that you're surprised. Everybody's surprised. We're all watching for the same time. Keep it to yourself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I tweeted today, I'm happy with exactly 1 of 3 traitor picks.
Yeah, hey, and that's fine.
You know who didn't know who the traitors were from reading my tweet?
Everyone.
We are capable of having these conversations because people will know. You could say like, oh, the person banished in the 3rd episode. Okay. I can figure that out if I think about it for a second. You know what I mean? Like, we could do this. We can do this together. Let's just use our Twitter fingers for good for once.
Yes. Agreed.
Y'all preaching. Y'all really preaching. It's true.
It's just frustrating. There's no respect. No respect.
It's just like, I just don't think that there's like guidelines for it yet. And there should be. There needs to be a common like etiquette that we follow on Twitter. This app has existed for too long for us to not be able to establish. Like, we need some bigger accounts on our side to say, hey, listen, if you do this, like, we're setting our Twitter army after you. So don't do it.
Yeah. No, I agree. I've stayed off of everything that I possibly could. I don't follow any traitor subreddits or anything, so I'm safe as far as I know on Reddit. But you never know because Kate is on the show, and I'm in the Below Deck subreddit. I'm in the Bravo Housewives subreddit, which talks about all Bravo shows. So like, I'm taking and Brandy. So I'm taking a risk here by even looking at Reddit. But I feel like we've become very brazen in the year 2022, and it's clearly continuing into 2023 of just tweeting words that we shouldn't be tweeting when we're watching shows, like names of people who have been eliminated or are traitors or are et cetera, et cetera. So like, just take a pause and say, should I really be tweeting this even though I'm using the hashtag? Is this worth a tweet? Does anyone care that I'm surprised about this? Probably not. So like, just join your group chat. There's plenty of them. You could talk about it there. Okay.
Then.
My only 2 cents, if you're really have a burning passion to tweet, please use the hashtag. Use all 3.
Oh, yeah, use all 3.
The least I ask, fine. Please use that. And secondly, Peacock, you suck for releasing all 10 episodes at the same time. Peacock is actually the biggest issue in my opinion. They should not release. First of all, it's bad for the show. imagine the hype of like you watch 3 episodes. Like I remember like with every other, like when Netflix does it, when any show drops weekly 3-4 episodes, the hype is there every week. On Love is Blind, you have more conversation. You know what I'm saying? So I think it's bad publicity for a show that I would hope they want to succeed. So Peacock, you're my enemy number one, and please don't do this if there's a second season. Please release it in like increments of 3 or 4 episodes over like 3 weeks, you know?
That is absolutely true. And I feel like in the UK, we've seen like the ratings, and the ratings weekly. There were 3 episodes a week, I think, but like they were released on different days, which is fine. Like release one episode one day, another one what day.
And
that's fine.
Working around World Cup scheduling. So
if they can figure it out, like
Peacock, they didn't even have like a consistent schedule. Yeah. Like why can't we?
But I was going to say too, with what Peacock has done in the past with like Real Housewives Ultimate Girls Trip, is that they release the first 4 episodes for anybody that has like premium or, you know, pays for it, who doesn't have the free version. And then like week over week, they release 1 episode. Why can't we do that? Release 4 at a time, get people hooked, and then we'll follow along. It's just better to have a conversation, for people to have a conversation, build buzz around the show.
100%.
But that's my PSA. This is, I mean, you know, whatever. It is what it is. I've come out unscathed so far, but I know a lot of people haven't. I've gotten a lot of text messages today saying they've already been spoiled by Twitter. So just be kind. Just be kind.
I've been raw dogging Twitter with no muted hashtags.
Whoa.
And have not been spoiled yet. I kind of like scan for the word traitor, and if I see it, I just like keep going. And there's also like people I kind of expect it from, and there's others that, you know what I mean? Like I see a certain name or picture, I'm just, no matter what you're tweeting about, I'm probably scrolling by it anyway, and I'm not sure why I haven't unfollowed you yet.
Yeah, I was like, why you following them, Kari?
You know, but I am somehow unspoiled. And I have not muted any of the hashtags, because that's the other issue that comes up is, especially we're talking about this show. Like I want to see other people's opinions. I want to see the memes. I want to see the funny shit, and then to like mute it and miss out on that stuff. But we're also working on our own schedule. It's a really difficult, like,
it's hard.
Yeah. And so I'm sure I won't come out of this alive, but right now, I haven't muted any hashtags, and I haven't been using Twitter too heavily because like I was either watching the show or working or you know, like, but I haven't muted anything, and I haven't been spoiled yet.
Well, I'm happy for you. I had a very busy day today, so it was easy for me to stay off Twitter. We will see how that goes tomorrow. But on that note, anything else we want to say to end off after our spoiler PSA of at least please, at the bare minimum, use a hashtag, use all 3 hashtags?
Now I'm excited to go watch the next episode.
Me too. I think I'm going to do that now.
I'm going to watch it tomorrow because early mornings, but I'm very excited tomorrow for the next episodes.
Yeah, I'm excited. All right, well, we'll start to wrap up. This was a lot of fun. Kari, where can everybody find you?
I am raw dogging Twitter at KGD26. Sorry.
Privately raw dogging.
Yeah, privately currently. We'll find out tomorrow. If I might be able to unprivate. Maybe I should like wait. I don't know. Anyway, TLDR is there's a meeting about me at 8:30, and I should hopefully be finding out if I'm getting a new job. And then I can be a part of the Twitter conversations again. So currently I'm privately raw dogging Twitter at KGD26, and all other internet capacities, you could find me there too. So otherwise, I'm talking about Real Housewives with Katie. I'm also talking about the challenge with Katie. Javier, jump on a challenge podcast with us, by the way.
Yes, if you're watching, you're more than welcome to join us.
I haven't seen past episode 1.
Oh, okay. Did you watch this week's yet, Katie?
Yes, but I fell asleep, so I have to go back. I was watching before we started. I fell asleep.
Yeah, I watched it before we did this.
Yeah.
I have thoughts, but anyway. So yeah, I'm podcasting about those things. We might do like an end of season circle podcast coming up in the nearish future, because more episodes just dropped. Is today Thursday? So yesterday. I think next week is the finale. But yeah, yes. I'm on these podcasts from time to time talking about TV shows.
Awesome. Javier, what about you? What are you up to?
So you can find me at _ the Starboy on Twitter for all my thoughts on reality TV, anime, and any other shows that I'm watching. And catch me here on Sign the Traitors. We'll be here. We'll see when we can get all the episodes out. But hopefully, I'm excited to continue to talk about the show, though.
Yes. Yeah, I guess to talk about the schedule a little bit, we're hoping, if you're listening, to have all the episodes completed and recapped by next week. So we're going to take a full week. So we'll do 2 episodes at a time. Probably nothing this weekend, but we'll be back on Monday with some episodes. But in the meantime, you can find me at RealSomeKatie on Twitter. I'm ghosting Twitter. I'm a ghost on Twitter right now because I'm trying to remain as unspoiled as possible. We'll see. Hopefully I remain. You can also follow me on Twitch at twitch.tv/RealSomeKatie with an underscore at the end. If you'd like to see me, I'm there like 3-ish days a week. This week is a little hectic, obviously, because of all the podcasts, but check me out there. And a bunch of things are happening on Silent Podcast. So yesterday, had a really, really great time recapping episodes 1 and 2 of Pressure Cooker with Jason, Julia, and Isaiah. So check that out. That's up in all the podcast feeds. The video is not up. It's audio only, but it was a really great time. So I think we're going to do another episode of that tomorrow, which is really exciting. If you're not watching Pressure Cooker, that's a great show. Check it on, not tomorrow, sorry, Saturday. But that's a great show. Check it out on Netflix. All the episodes are out and it's a lot of fun. You can also, as Kari mentioned, find us talking about all things Real Housewives on The Cool Water Show. You can hear us talking the challenge on TJ Hates Quitters. We'll be back this weekend. And you can hear me on Monday talking with Isaiah and Josiane about Big Brother 11, which is going to be really fun. That season is a chaotic mess, so it'll be a lot of fun to talk about. And I think that's it here on Sign the Traitors. We'll be back. We will be back tomorrow with episodes 3 and 4. And then we'll see you on Monday. Meanwhile, Silent Podcasts, you can find us anywhere you listen to your podcasts, on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts, on any podcast app that you use for the most part. We're on it. So check us out there. Leave us a rating. We prefer 5 stars. It really helps us out. Please don't leave a 4-star review or a 3-star. Just wait until you hear something that you think was worth 5 stars. I personally think this podcast was 5-star worthy. I don't know. Just saying.
My microphone worked. That's 5
yeah.
stars
Kari has
alone.
a new microphone and it worked. And it's not skipping. So like, leave us a review and tell us how great Kari sounds. So do that for us. Otherwise, you can find us. We'll be recording these live on YouTube and Twitch. You can find all of our past videos on YouTube and Twitch, and you can subscribe there at Silent Podcast on both of them, and follow us on Twitter at silent_podcast for all the up-to-date stuff that we are doing these days. In the meantime, we will be back tomorrow around, what time did we say? 7 p.m.?
I have it written down. Give me 1
Yes,
second.
I have it written down too, but I have like 5 notebooks.
Wrong app. I think we said 8 p.m. Eastern.
Yeah, 8 p.m. Eastern.
8 p.m. Eastern on Friday. We will be back with episodes 3 and 4. So we will see you then. And thank you for tuning in. Thank you for listening. And we will be back soon. Bye, everyone.
Actually, wait.
Yes.
We'll give you a draft update because we didn't even update
Oh,
the
yes.
draft.
Yes. My draft update. Rez is gone. My team sucks. My team is going to be out by like episode 4.
Yeah,
I also lost a member.
Okay, so
yes. And Geraldine.
Nice. So from the host, I'm winning.
Yes. Javier's going to win this draft.
And I think I'm in a good place. I'm going to say before we hang out, Kyle is going to do well. And I think my civilian pick, Amanda's going to do well too. But we'll get back to that.
Who are your other ones?
Stephanie and Christian, who's a flop. We don't talk about him.
Yeah.
Oh, right. Yeah, that's not bad. You'll lose one next episode. Bye, Christian.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Christian's gone, but
that's not me. If that actually happened, I didn't see it.
Yeah, we did not see it.
No. I don't
That's
know.
a pure prediction.
Yes.
Pure prediction.
Yes. And a hope, perhaps. This
Yes.
is annoying. And it's okay. I was rooting against Michael this whole time. I wanted Michael to go because he's so annoying and he's on my draft. So I just actively root against myself.
The good news is I've seen Christian replying to tweets using the hashtag, and we hashtagged this on the Silent Podcast Twitter. So Christian, if you're listening,
hi, Christian. Big fans.
Listen, you're on my draft team. So if you want to come chat about your gameplay, hit us up.
Yeah, you're more than welcome to come on. We would love to have you. I'm sorry if you're offended by my van life comment earlier. Don't go back and listen if you didn't hear it.
I called you an asshat earlier, but I've been called an asshat too. It's fine.
Maybe he can explain his game. Maybe he had new strategy, you know?
Yes.
Maybe.
Open invite. All right. Well, thank you, everybody. We will be back tomorrow. Maybe we'll have some nicer things to say about Christian. If you're listening, Christian, we'll praise you tomorrow. And until then, have a great night, and we will see you soon. Bye, everybody.
Bye, everyone.